The Sunday Play is the original 1962 production of Alfie Elkins and His Little Life by Bill Norton, the first of a short season of plays being broadcast as a tribute to the author who died earlier this year. Bill Owen is Alfie in Alfie Elkins and His Little Life.
I first met Alfie Elkins during the war. We were drivers together at the Civil Defence Depot in South London. There was a lot of time to fill in during standby duties, and Alfie and I spent most of it in talking. Alfie wasn't the sort of driver who took his job very seriously.
I can't see how any bloke in his right mind could take an interest in a block of iron, and that's all an engineer is, with little valves banging away to get you from one place to another.
Alfie then was in his 20s, a rather thin chap inclined to be chesty on damp or foggy mornings. He had a boyish face and a quiet, doll-like look in his eyes, but he knew everything that was going on. Our mob didn't have uniforms, but Alfie never wore overalls or boots like other drivers. He always came to work in suede shoes, a spivvy suit, and a tie with the fat Windsor knot which was fashionable at the time. He'd make a slit at the back of his collar and then stitch it together tightly to give a cut-away look at the front. I remember the first morning we got acquainted at the Civil Defence Depot.
Hi, mate.
Aye?
Give us a tow, will you? Can't get started.
Aye, hang on a tick. Morning, Elkins.
Good morning, sir.
Having trouble with your vehicle again?
Well, what can you expect standing out here all night?
We'll have to see if we can get some sort of cover for these vehicles.
But then if a bomb was to fall, you might lose the lot. Right, mate, I've got a tow rope. Look, tow me out onto the hill and she'll start there.
Okay.
I'll blow me horn when to stop.
Right.
Right, away. That'll do. I'll take the rope off.
Here, is that the rotor arm you're just putting in?
Yeah, what about it?
Well, you didn't expect your engine to start when you had that out.
Of course I didn't.
Well, what's the idea, getting me to tow you?
Listen, on mornings when I ain't had no breakfast and I'm feeling hungry, I always see to it that my engine don't start.
Oh.
Somebody's got to give me a tow. That gets me away from the depot. Do you get me?
No.
Look, it means I can get down to the little cab round the corner at the bottom and have a nice feed of kippers.
Well, it's a lot of trouble just for kippers.
But on these jobs, you've got to have an excuse. Feel like a nice cup of tea and a pair of fresh kippers?
If you like. Over there.
No, not in that caff. It's a proper clutch and gear joint. Guessing away what gear they came up, what airline and what load they was carrying, they get on my wick.
Alfie usually wore 2 rings, one with a big black stone, and a wristwatch with a fat imitation gold strap. He was single, had his own room, and seemed to have no interest at all outside himself, money, and women, although he did like a drink and a chat with his mates. He was very loath to talk about other topics, or to listen to them.
If you got money, you can have everything in this world. Beautiful clothes, lovely women, and handsome grub. Now, what more do you want? But if you ain't got money, you're a misery to yourself and everybody else. I don't know what it is, but a bloke with no money don't half depress me. I always avoid them. You've got to help yourself in this world. Listen, when I go to vote, I always ask myself one question. What can any of them give me that I ain't already got?
Alfie could be very obliging, but only on one condition, providing it was no trouble to him. He made that very clear.
The first thing I look for in a job is the fiddle. You know what I mean? If there ain't one, I ain't interested. And there ain't any on these public organisation jobs like we're working on. That's why people on them are all so miserable. The only thing they can fiddle is time. And all you need for that is an excuse. I can't stand the sight of these civil servant blokes, you know, what you get in these offices. They're all buying their own little houses on a mortgage at places like Bexley Heath, and they set out from home with about 7 fags a day in a packet so they can ration themselves. One on the train, one after coffee, one after lunch, and if they have to give one to a mate, their day's upset. Their lives are all ordered and planned, holidays for next year, all down to the last penny. Mind you, they love their own little lives, they do, but it wouldn't all get on my week living to rules about what I got to do or what I ain't got to do. Now, you take driving. There's some working blokes what quite honestly enjoy their jobs. It has happened to me, but not very often. But I know drivers who wouldn't swap their jobs for anything. They're always checking their tyres, topping up their batteries, fiddling about with their lights, polishing their windows or one thing and another, you know. And when they're driving, you'll see them keep waving blokes on. What's behind? Now, I never waved a bloke on in my life, and I reckon I'm a good driver. He could see the road ahead of me, and he shouldn't overtake me unless he can see it's safe. And he should know what I'm doing, because when I'm driving, I'm taking no bleeding notice of these goozers who are waving me on, I tell you. Now, these blokes what like their jobs are what you might call the salt of the earth so far as work's concerned. But I'll tell you a funny thing. You'll always see a bloke like that in more trouble with the boss than a bloke like me. That's funny, isn't it? I mean, if a driver like that comes on, you know, and his engine's not going to bit or his brakes pull a bit to one side, then he don't get upset, you know, it plays on his nerves, see? You know, he'd probably have a proper bull and cow about it, I expect. Blokes like that take their jobs home with them. They bore their wives stiff talking about the job. They can't sleep at night for thinking of better ways to work it. And what do they end up with? Thrombosis. Now, I couldn't care no more than flying the air what sort of an old heap they give me to drive, so long as it goes and it don't let the rain in. I don't like to spoil my clobber on the job, I tell you. But some of these bosses, they ain't got no sense to see that they got a good man. A good man likes to do a good day's work, and then he needs a pat on the back for doing it. And if I was a boss, I'd see got one. But most of them don't. Another thing, if a boss tells him to do the job one way and he knows it ain't right, he'll start arguing with the boss. Right away there. Fatal, that is. Never argue with the boss. Always agree, always let them have their own way about it. That's why they're bosses, because they like their own way. And when you go out, you go and do the job your own way. You see what I mean? Take no notice of what he says, and 9 times out of 10 anyway, you'll forget all about it when you get back. But these good drivers, see, you know, they won't give way on principle. And the next thing, you know, they're giving their notice in. It nearly always happens to good blokes but can't get on with the boss. A bloke that puts his heart and soul in his job, no matter what it is, only makes himself a nuisance these days. But same as I say, what I always look for in a job is a fiddle. That keeps you interested, and interest keeps you young. I remember the first job I had when I left school as an errand boy at one of these tailor sweatshops, you know, over the East End, where they make the kids' suits and things, you see. Now, what I used to do was to nip in with one of these suits into the bulk, you see, when nobody was looking, slip mine off and put it on, and then put mine back over on top, because I especially wore my big brother's jacket, you see. And I'd nip home quick as I could to take it off, and Alice, you know, she was my stepmum, she used to flog it in the pub at night. I mean, she used to get as much as 10 bob a time, you see, for some of them suits. Well, it gave me an interest in the job, see. I used to run around, I was quite popular and all. And one day I comes out the bog, and I've got a job getting this suit on under mine, you know. Well, it's a bit big, you see. Anyway, when I comes out, there's the governor waiting for me. He was a nice bloke, but he had a sad face, you know. It made you feel sorry for him.
Hello, sir.
Hello, son. Here, don't rush off.
Was there something, sir?
How you liking this job, Alfie?
Tain't bad. I mean, to be quite frank, I like it.
Yeah, you seem to have put a lot of weight on since you come on it.
Eh? Oh, yeah, that's what my mum says. I've got to be off now, sir.
Hey, just a minute. My, just feel these shoulders, Alfie. And your chest.
Oh, well, it's...
Here, look at your shoulders. Why, you're all but bursting out of them.
I had a big dinner, sir.
You certainly had. Anything you like to tell me, Alfie?
How do you mean, sir?
Alfie.
Yes, sir?
You shouldn't have done it. Now go in there again and take it off.
Take what off, sir?
Take what you got on underneath off. Now in you go.
What rotten luck. What do I do now? I know. I'll put it down the hole. Put it down and pull the chain. That's a good idea.
Alfie, don't shove it down the hole. You'll only block the plumbing up.
He didn't get me in charge or nothing. They don't. He just took the suit off me and said he didn't think I was suitable for the job, and he paid me a week's wages, you know. I had a few jobs after that. Some was apprentice jobs to trades, electrician and mechanic, but I don't like them. Under a roof, see, and you were supposed to work all the time, so I turned them in. My dad always advised me against doing any job I didn't like.
tell you one thing, Alfie. There's nothing in this world worse than going to bed at night with a feeling on your mind that you've got to get up in the morning and go out to a job you don't like. It'll take years off your life, so don't never do it. You're better out of work. And on top of it, the longer you do the job, the harder it gets to change. So you get some blokes working all their lives at a job they detest. It don't half make an hump, you do.
Yeah, talking about having a fiddle on the job, listen to this. I was driving with one of these cut-price wholesale firms, you know, and I had a nice little fiddle on the go. It bought me 2 or 3 nicker a week. Well, it's nothing to shout about, but it was quite handy.
Tell me, how'd you work it, Alfie?
It's dead simple. There was one loader on the loading bay who'd always slip me an extra crate of salmon with me orders, you see. And nobody's going to spot that unless they strip me down and went through all my notes. Now, 2 dozen cans at 4 rubber cans, that comes to just under a £5. Now, I'd flog it to the manager at one of the shops. He'd slip me 50 bob and make as much for himself, you see. Now, I slipped this bloke on the bay 25 bob, and I'd have the same myself. Or I might even tell him I only got a couple of quid for it, and I'd slip him a quid, and I'd have 30 off for myself, you see. Anyway, he'd slip me one morning, and there I was loading away. I was whistling on the job, you know. That's the point. Never look cheerful on a job if you're doing a fiddle. It only makes them suspicious. When the next thing, anyway, out of the corner of my eye, I spots the governor watching me.
42, 44, 46, 48. That's your 4 dozen, Alfie.
Right, son.
6 extra flour to go on next.
Right, mate.
You sound cheerful this morning, Elkins.
Oh, morning, Gov. Yeah, some days I feel like it, you know.
You can't be that cheerful on what I'm paying.
What's that?
I was just saying a bloke couldn't be all that chirpy on the wages I'm paying.
I don't get you.
Come here. Look, Elkins. I reckon you're on a nice little fiddle on this job.
Oh, me? Fiddle? I take exception to that remark.
Yeah, don't come in. Where'd you think I was brought up? And how'd you think I got where I am?
What you might like to say about yourself is one thing, but what you say about me is another. You've got to prove your words.
Listen, I ain't going to strip your van. All I'm telling you is that you must be on a nice little fiddle.
Who says?
But yeah, you do your job well and you look after your motor. You're always on time, and as far as I can see, me stocks ain't much out. So I'd soon have you doing me out the odd case of this and that, and some bloke what don't fiddle but can't do his job. Do you see what I mean?
Well, I get the general idea, Gov.
Only let me give you a warning. Don't overdo it. Don't get greedy. That's how all the clever and spoil themselves. They kill the goose. 'Cause the job will stand a bit, but it won't stand too much.
He did me a good turn, he did. I was getting greedy. But once he was onto me, I watched me step.
Alfie liked to spend the early part of an evening in a pub with his mates, and then go off to meet a woman friend and go dancing with her, or possibly have a few drinks. He was fond of going to the pictures, too, but it seemed he preferred to go there alone. He appeared to be very successful by his own standards in these love affairs, and although he wasn't too boastful, he did like to talk about them. At times he was disconcerting to follow because of a certain usage which seemed common among his friends. They'd refer to most women as it.
Yeah, I met it near Barney. He waved me down, see, and I stopped and picked it up. It looked a bit tatty. He said it was cold, see. Anyway, I took it in the caff and staked it to a large tea and a couple of rounds of toast and drip, and when it was warm, it came up lovely, if you see what I mean. It said it was 19. In fact, young Benny spotted it, and he tried to lap it up when my back was turned, so it couldn't have been that rough, or Benny wouldn't have fancied it.
It was sometimes difficult to keep the image of a woman in mind from this sort of talk, and indeed that may have been one purpose behind it. But not all Alfie's conquests were the sort of girls who drifted into these caffs. He had a wide variety of women friends, some much older than himself and some very young, and a number of lower middle-class women he came in contact with. Once he told me of the technique he used to break down their reserve.
What I like to do with a woman first is to make her laugh. You'd be surprised how many women are in need of a good laugh. The next thing I do is I'll fatter them up a bit. I know it's the oldest thing under the sun, and they know it too, but the fact is most men are too mean or miserable to say something nice to a woman. Now, once I've got round to it, I works in another little tactic, you see, but this is a bit risky. I lets my true nature come out, do you know what I mean? Well, they've had their bit of fun and their bit of flattery, now they've got to take me as I am. And they get so that they know where they are with you if you let them see what you think. Now, another thing, I don't go in for all this caper of paying for 'em here, there and everywhere. I was up with one the other night. Now, she's got a good job, and I asked her what she's going to have, you see. So she says, a whiskey. So I come back with a whiskey and a light out. So when we've drunk that up, I says, what you going to have? And she says, a whiskey. So I goes up the bar, I come back with 2 light hours, you see. She did not give me a look, yeah. I'm a whiskey drinker, she said. So I said to her, that might be, but I ain't a whiskey buyer. If you want a whiskey, go and get yourself one. It was touch and go for a minute. But then she saw where she stood, and after that we got on beautiful. She tells me I'm a real meanie, and I says, of course I am when it comes to buying whiskey. And I think you should pay for the next round. And she paid. Women don't mind paying. What they don't like is feeling under an obligation. If a woman wants to pay, I'll never stop, because she only make a niggly.
Alfie had a vivid way of telling these things, and once he got going on a story, he could hold you by his flat belief in all he'd done, and by his colourful asides as he went along. One night, when we were on duty together and couldn't get any sleep, he told me why he hadn't got married.
No, I ain't ever let a woman talk me into getting married. Now, I likes to go with 2 kinds of women, mainly. I likes to have a little girl, you know, who ain't too fussy on tap. One's passable, you know, without being a smash-a-lot. And you might say you're doing them a bit of a favour to go out with them, you know. But sometimes you get that sort of bit on the plump side, and they can be very mumsy, you know. I like that, you know, because, in moderation, you feels at home with them. You can say what comes into your mind. You know, there don't seem any point in marrying one like that. For one thing, they're inclined to let a bloke go his own way, and for another, you can't show 'em up anywhere. They ain't good enough. Now, another kind I like is these tall, beautiful birds, you know, as good dressers like. I've had a few smashes like that. You could take 'em anywhere. But I never found one I'd fancy being hitched up to. I did go up for a long time with a good kid. She was the first sort, you know, don't pester a bloke too much. Anyway, her name was Gilda, and this little Gilda wasn't stupid, but she was simple. She'd do anything for me, and she bought me some smashing presents. Anyway, after I've been going out with her for about a year or more, it comes out she's in the family way, see? Well, what didn't you tell me, I says? So she said she didn't want to worry me. Anyway, she says, Alfie, let's carry on with it. I said, are you going up your nut? I ain't getting hitched up. No, you don't need to, she says. When he's born, I'll get him adopted by a rich woman, see? So he has a good home, and I'd like to do that much for him. Well, I don't go against her. I mean, in a way, I couldn't. Anyway, I suppers it up. Now, when the time comes for little Gilda to go in hospitals, you know, she do have this kid like, and it turns out to be a boy, same as she said it would be, and he ain't half a whopper, you know, he goes about 8.5 pound, he do. All the nurses go crazy about him. Now, when little Gilda sees him, she gets what they call a change of heart, you know what I mean? And she don't want nobody to take him away from her. And when I goes to see her, I see she's taken on a real mumsy look, you know, even just in a couple of days, you might say. Anyway, she starts sort of feeding him herself, see, with what they call the breast, like, you know. And I explains to her, he'll only get dependent on her with that now. But you couldn't talk no sense into her. Half the time, she didn't even seem to be listening to me. I don't want nothing from you, Alfie, she says, except for you to come and see me and Donald when we come out. Hey, what about the rich woman, I said. Sod the rich woman, she said, or worse to that extent. She don't want to know. So then she says on her last day in hospital, can I help you? I said, well, can you what? And she says, can I keep him? I said, well, of course you can, he's yours, isn't he? What got me was the way she asked, you know, she looked at me as though I was a savage, what might have murdered the kid. After all, I mean, I've got nothing against him. He'd done me no harm. It was just that, well, he'd messed things up a bit, and a bloke don't want to be bothered, if you know what I mean. Anyway, she goes back to living in her little room, see, and she starts to work at a brewery and pays £2 a week for a woman who had 5 kids of her own to look after little Donald all the week, and she has him at the weekends. She picks him up every Friday, see? And she goes round to have a look at him during the week. So I says to her, you must be up your nuts, sweating your guts out, lugging them beer crates about and then handing 2 nicker a week over to that old cow, what'll only bring the kid up rough, same as her own kids are, and he won't be able to talk proper. And you can't go to the pictures or go to a dance or come out for a drink at the weekends for looking after him, when you could have had him with a rich woman what have brought him up beautiful and dressed him handsome, and it wouldn't have cost you a penny. In fact, you might have had something yourself. I want to bring him up, she says. You can never bring him up, I said to her, like this rich woman could. And he'd never know but what she ain't his mum. But talk sense into her, not on your life. It's her kid, she says, and she ain't letting no other woman have him, no matter how much money she's got. I said, you know what you are, don't you? You're selfish. And then when I says to her I ain't too stuck on spending every Sunday with her and the kid, She says she'll fling herself into the river if I desert her. Well, she's got me there because she knows I ain't that hard-hearted. Now, when I sees her crying, if it means so much to her, I thinks to myself, why do her out of it? Yeah, I mean, it don't cost me nothing. But it don't make me feel rotten when I see a woman crying on me, you know, with their faces all wet and their skins get all hot like as though they were kids. And short of giving them a swipe across the kisser and tell her to belt up, you know, you've got to feel with them like. And if I give way to me feelings like that, you know what, I'll get tears come into my eyes. Funny, ain't it, how soft-hearted a geezer can be. Now, about this kid, see, well, he gets in the habit of watching me, and he knows me, you know, from the time he's only a couple of months old. Gilda reckoned he was a spitting image of me. When he ain't quick, he is, you know, he gives me a look every time I come into the room, you know, and he watches me. Kids are funny like that. Well, I gets as I start petting him up, saying one thing or the other, and when she's gone out, we're on our own, we start having a play around, you know. And now and again of a Sunday morning, I pick up a toy or two from the lane, like, you know, because he likes anything like that, you see. And then he gets to call me Daddy. Well, at least Gilda said it was Daddy. It sounded no more like caca to me or something. And he keeps putting his hands up for me to pick him up. So, you see, if they ain't got you in one way, they got you in another. Mind you, this little Gilda ain't a liberty taker. No. But same as I keep telling her, I wish the old my mum had given me to some rich people to adopt when I was a kid. It'd have made my life a lot easier and I'd be a lot better off than I am now. But I couldn't get her to see sense, do you know what I mean? And she don't mind lifting all these beer crates. That's a terrible job for a woman. Anyway, it comes when little Donald's about 12 months old. He's getting, you know, he can get about from one chair to another. Kids don't want looking after, you know, when they get to that age. Well, there's one geezer who works on the loading bank at this brewery, you know, a bit older than she is. You know, he gets on very friendly, he wants to marry her kid and all. So when I goes down at the weekend, I still have my own little life, you know, during the week. Well, anyway, Gilda asked me, she says, what should I do? So I said, marry him, you mug. You won't get another chance like it. What are you asking me for anyway? I mean, you're a free agent, ain't you? Well, she says it's on account of the kid, she asked me. Anyway, it never struck me she would because she's supposed to be madly in love with me, whatever that means. And come to that, I have stuck by her in my own way. It ain't always been pleasant. But you think you know a woman, and then you find you don't. Because after I don't know how much I'm in and ahhing and tears and one thing and another, what done, I'll get on my wick. Because if there's one thing I detest, it's a miserable woman moping about the place. Anyway, she writes me a letter that she's decided to marry this bloke. Do you know what? She cuts me off dead from that minute. I've got to play fair by him, she says. Supposed to be madly in love with me too. Because I couldn't care no more than fly in the air, you might say. Well, except when Sundays come round. You see, I'd got into the routine, or perhaps it was a kid or something, you never know, but come Sunday and I'd half feel empty. Every bleeding Sunday, I couldn't settle myself down to nothing. After all, the way I look at it, I am the kid's dad, and he has got used to me, and now this other geezer walks in and takes my place. It took me quite a bit of time to get this kid out of my system. To be quite honest, I ain't got him fully out yet. There's times when the thought of him seems to get stuck there in my nut. But I don't ever think about his mum. Well, very seldom. It's funny, isn't it?
I very occasionally had a drink with Alfie and his mates, and I got the impression that one reason for Alfie being so natural and free in his talks with me was that there was no one else he could get to listen to him. He had no compunction over telling anything he'd done, and I never saw a man so remarkably free from any sense of guilt or remorse. And also, he may have sensed that you can confess to no human being without at the same time arousing some mite of sympathy, if he's listening to you at all. And all this, or some of it, may have been the reason that Alfie appeared to get some satisfaction from his long talks with me. One evening, when the war was almost at an end and the job was coming to a close, Alfie told me the story of what he called his little life.
I was born in the last war, what they calls the first war, see? And my dad was in the army, and my mum got the flu or something about 1918, and she died. So when he comes home, he gets married to a widow of a mate of his who's been killed in the war. So it all worked out nicely as far as that went, you see. Well, when I sees my stepmum now, she don't seem a bad sort, but when I was a kid, I hated the sight of her. I never called her mum, I wouldn't, I just called her Alice. I knew she didn't like it. As a matter of fact, I still do. Oh, yeah, I felt she made favourites of her own kids. Anyway, we was always at loggerheads. And another thing that got on my wick, she was always on the save, and it looked like she was always saving out of me. It made me grow up as I was always wanting to get in what I could for myself, and I always have been. Nobody don't help you in this life unless they're getting something out of it. I mean, you're listening to me, but how do I know what's going on in your mind? You see what I mean? Everybody's got a little secret life. Anyway, I guess I ain't too slow about looking after myself, and if there's anything going, I see Alfie gets his share. Now, when I was about 17, I was getting into a bit of a tearaway. You know, I wasn't working or nothing, and I comes in home one day, and Alice puts an egg down in front of me for me tea. Well, eggs in them days was about 36 for a bob. So I says, blimey, I could eat 3 of these. So Alice turns nasty. One word leads to another. I calls her an old cow or something. She lands me, and I land her one back. If a woman swipes her, you swipe her back. It's the only way she'll understand what she's done to you. Always give them what they give you. Only harder. Anyway, the next thing, we're all going at hammer and tongs here. The old man as well, you know, we're all in it. I feel sorry for the old man, I did. And I'll come to think of it, because I used to put the block on him when things was going wrong with me. Anyway, somebody sent for a copper, and I ends up getting hauled in front of the magistrate, and I get bound over to keep the peace for 12 months, and I find myself another place to live. He said I was only a nuisance where I was. So I went staying with a mate, and that ain't too bad for a start, but then he tells me his mum don't want me there always. Well, I don't know, I think the world's an hard place, then I do. Now, I ain't doing any work at the time, and I moves in one or two blokes like myself, you know, layabouts, who opening cars up the West End and nicking what they can lay their hands on. We used to kick the locks open, see, and when you got good at it, you could do it first time. One time I got a nice little bag of watches, mostly gold ones, what seemed to be travellers' samples or something. Anyway, I got about 75 quid for them. That was a fortune in them days. Well, come to think of it, it's a very handy sum today, isn't it? I got myself a nice little suit or two, you know, plenty of shirts and things, and I've got a nice little room, about 8 bob a week. I love anything like that, you know, having some good clobber and a bob or two in my pocket. I met a smashing pal called Alec, you know, he could drive, see, and he had special keys, so we could pick up a car, grab a bag when we feel like, you see. He'd run us to a safe spot, and then we'd desert the car. Where was I? Oh, yeah, Alec. Well, look, he said we got him with a couple of Janes, see, what was chambermaids up at the Savoy. We had it fixed with them that we'd stand at a certain spot outside the back about 9 o'clock at night, give a whistle, and they'd have ready a great big bundle of sheets to fling down to us if the coast was clear. We always had a car ready that we'd nick for the job, and in half a minute we'd be away, and we used to flog them in some of the pubs, you know. You could always sell good sheets. Well, it all comes all smashing till one night when there must have been a wind or something. Anyway, this great tight bundle of sheets, it's old Alec, clean on the nut, knocks him flat. Then he broke his bleeding neck, it did. I burst out laughing, see, for old Alec, he don't get up, and I see he's knocked out, you know. And there I was with a stolen car I couldn't drive, the sheets I couldn't throw back up, and old Alec out to the world. Well, the first thing I thought of was leaving him, you know, and making a run for it. I don't believe in all this caper about sacrificing yourself for a mate. What good do it do him? I mean, I always say help yourself, and that gives you a chance to help somebody else. Anyway, seeing old Alec lying there must have touched me in some way, you know what I mean. So I says, come on, Alec. But he's proper hard, you know. I mean, not a dicky bird from him. Anyway, I sticks the sheets in the back of the car, and then I pulls him in. And he's just beginning to come round, see, but, you know, he ain't properly with it, you know, he's still half-dazed. And he don't know where he is, you know, he ain't fit to drive or anything like that. Well, I'd never driven, but I thought, well, we've got to get out of this. And I drove. What a way to learn. Cool. Blimey, there I was, going along the embankment. I didn't know one gear from another. Old Alec slumped down on the seat by the side of me, and the back of the car crammed with stolen sheets. Anyway, I come through it okay. But when I think of it, it don't make me feel funny. Well, next we had a bit of money got together, like, and we all four, that's me and Alec and 2 dames, we had a nice little holiday start in, and it's Ramsgate. We enjoyed ourselves lovely. Nice that was. We comes back to London one night, you see, we're going up the West End, we all had a bit to drink, you know, and we're going down Park Lane. I used to like anything like that, you know, seeing the toffs and one thing and the other. Anyway, we spots a green sports car standing a bit away from the hotel, you know, it was all loaded up with cases in the rear and that. Good stuff it was, solid leather. Let's nick it, says Alec. There'd be a load of stuff in them cases. Well, you know how it is when you get a bit drunk, you think you could do anything. So I turns to these girls and I says, "Now look, you two walk on, we're going to nick this car." Well, I'd expect, you know, she's dead too good with the idea, but mine ain't. "Oh, don't help me," she says, "don't you might get done and we're having such happy time." She was gone on me, she was. She'd do anything I asked her, she would. Funny natures women have got, ain't they? I often wonder what become of her. A very good-natured girl she was. Anyway, so I said, "Look, walk on ahead as though nothing was happening. Go on, we'll pick you up." She don't want to go. No, I hates anything like that, you know, when you ain't all of one mind. Go on, you silly cow, I says. And with that, Alex bit, his girl, he lugs mine up and they go on ahead a bit, up the road and wait, you see. Then me and Alec goes up to the car and he kicks it open, strikes a match to see the number on the dashboard, takes out his keys and he finds one to fit. Well, the next minute he's got it started. What does he do? He revs it up. And it's got a real old snorting roar, as Turn it down, I said. The bloke what owns it will hear it. What's the matter with you? Oh, well, Alex don't take any notice, He's driving down Park Lane here and we picks up our couple of dames. My one was not glad to see me. God, that was a lovely feeling, sitting in the back of that open sports car with the wind blowing in your face and everybody looking at you. Now, unbeknownst to us, a taxi driver seen what we'd done. The bloke what owns the car comes out at that minute and the taxi driver tells him. So he gets in with him and they're after us. Anyway, I'm looking behind and Alec turns left instead of right at the bottom of Hamilton Place. And I said, what'd you come down Piccadilly way for instead of Knightsbridge? I just fancied it, said Alec. I believe there's a taxi trailing us, I says. He got nerves, says Alec. Well, the next thing I see is this taxi draw into the curb and they call a copper. They're after us now, I says. And it rotten how in about 2 minutes your whole life can change. Well, Alec flattens out now, He turns up Shaftesbury Avenue, takes a turn to the left, stops and lets his dame out of the car. My mind just don't want to go, I reckon it was that stop that did us. The taxi's about 150 yards behind us, you see. Alec starts up again, takes the first turn, and now he makes my one get out while she's crying her eyes out, Anyway, he shoots off, swings into Regent Street, and it seems we're away. But what do? We go clean bang into a traffic block. Can't go one way or the other. So the pair of us jumps out. Stick to your story, he says as we run off. The idea was that it was the first time we'd ever done it. Well, anyway, the next thing, the taxi stops and the copper jumps up and blows his whistle. We run as fast as we can and a couple of blokes dart at me but missed and a third comes and hangs onto me coat. Now, I hate anything like that, I do. Blokes hanging onto me, I can't bear it. Well, anyway, he hangs onto me until the copper comes up. I don't know where Alec's gone, but he's been caught too, because the next thing I see, he's come up between two blokes who are hanging onto him, Now, they takes us along to Marlborough Street Police Station. Well, anyway, the next day we're put on remand in custody, you see. Alec gets sent to Wormwood Scrubs and me to Brixton. God, that was not rotten. I didn't like that at all. Oh, I hate anything like that. I do, queuing up for a bleeding razor, no cobber to change into, and lots of stinking old blokes about. Do you know what I mean? And a tech comes in on the third day and he says, your mate has told all the tale of what you two been up to, so why don't you come straight? If you do, I'll speak well for you. Of course, I didn't fall for that, and neither did Alec. Well, anyway, then we have to see the court commissioner or whatever it is you call him, I don't know. And we wait, well, we start to make up, we're sorry, and we cry, we're all terribly sorry for our sins. Well, when the case comes out, there's my dad in court, stepmum and all the lot, so's Alex. They look, everything looks dead black against us because we don't do no work for months, and yet we've got plenty of money and good clothes. That don't sound rotten when they begins to say things like that against you. I reckon if you was a good bloke and you stood up in court and they read out all about you, it wouldn't half sound rotten. Then the magistrate looks at me and he goes on something awkward, and I thought he was going to send me down for sure. But instead of that, he says, I believe you merely aided and abetted and I bind you over for 12 months. God, love it. Thank goodness for that, I thought. Now, poor old Alec, he's going to get it. Well, then the magistrate turns to Alec and he says, but as for you, he says, and my heart went into my mouth, Do you know what? It ended up him finding Alec £10 or something of this sort. I don't know. Anyway, all I do know is we went up. We had a right old booze up, I tell you. We nearly got running again, we did. Well, to be quite frank, I found I didn't fancy prison. Do you know what I mean? Some blokes can do it on their heads, as they say, but I like my own little bed of a night, and I like my own little things round me and all that kind of, So after that, I settled down to a transport job as a mate. I mean, I'm all for a little fiddle to make life interesting, providing I've got an excuse. Well, that gives you some idea of my little life, doesn't it?
It was a few years later, about 1950, when I met Alfie again. It was quite by accident on Westminster Bridge. I saw this figure walking towards me and I hardly recognized him. He looked so much younger and fitter.
Hey, is that you, Alfie?
Hey? Blimey, if it ain't old Lank. I thought you was a copper for a minute. How you going, mate?
Oh, not bad.
Ain't you lost some hair, huh? You ain't not got old looking, you have. You remember the job? What a lot they was, eh?
Oh, you're looking well, Alfie.
You should have seen me a week or two back. My tan's going up now. I've been selling these cowboy hats for the kids at Margate and Great Yarmouth, you know, places like that. I've been making 4 or 5 nigger a day, I
Get off.
Yeah, straight up. And a lot of money about, you know. And folk who ain't never had it before, I can tell you. They can't get rid of it fast enough. You're always on a good thing if you're selling toys and all that like for the kids, especially when they're on holiday. You know, you catch the kid's eye and his mum and dad have got to buy it for him. Kids have got the upper hand these days.
I can't get over how young you're looking.
It's the haircut, you see. It adds like my little wave in front. It lifts the hair right off my forehead, see, and that means you can get your full face properly sunburnt, like, see?
What you working on now, Alfie?
Well, I'm doing a bit of the old driving now the season's come to an end. Here, Lank, I've got my own little place now. Got your notebook as usual?
Uh-huh.
Well, now, this is the address. Take it off this envelope.
Right, I'll get it down.
I miss them little chats we used to have. Listen, I've got a smashing little kid in now. She comes from your part of the world. Don't forget, you call round, Lank.
Aye, I will, for sure.
Lummy, I can't get over all the hair you've lost. I've hate that, I would. Who is it?
It's only me, Alfie. Lanky.
Lanky. Oh, just a tick, mate. Sorry, mate.
Oh, that's all right.
I just wanted to make sure it was. See what I mean? Come in. Andy, it's only a mate of mine. Turn that wireless down a bit, will you? It's that little kid from up north I told you about.
All right.
I had her a couple of weeks with me now. She's a bit nervous, like. She'll be in a minute. Sit down somewhere.
Oh, my, Alfie. Have you had the decorators in? Does look nice and bright.
Nah. You know what? She done it all. She never stops working. I've got to say I didn't know what was the colours of things under the dirt. Look at them walls. She's been polishing away at a few old rusty knives, and now it turns out they're solid silver. They ain't not come up lovely, they have. Here, have a look in this drawer. I never knew I had so many shirts. She took the tail off one and made a new collar out of it. I no sooner takes up a pair of socks and she's got hold of them, she has them washed. She's a little marvel, she is, straight up. She's only 21 and she ain't a bad looker, except that she could do with putting on a bit more weight, you know. Andy, come in to meet a mate of mine. Well, you know what I used to work with. She's a bit shy, you know. Ain't got no clobber. She's turned this dump into an home, she has. Where you been, girl? Meet my mate Lanky. He's from up north. This is Annie.
Hello, Annie.
Pleased to meet you.
Alfie's been telling me what a lovely job you've done here.
Thanks very much. But I'm frightened I might get on his nerves.
Yeah, makes a change to see the place so bright.
Shall I make some tea, Alfie?
Yeah, do what you want, girl. What about a cup of Lank?
I'd enjoy a cup of tea.
Shall I make a bit of toast, Alfie?
Yeah, anything you got.
I'll not be long.
What do you think of her, Lank?
Oh, she's a very nice kid, Alfie. Very nice.
Yeah, but she always wanted to make tea for everybody. I don't know where she was brought up, but she'd make a cracking little wife for some old bloke, you know, who likes to stay at home. She don't like going out, so you don't have to spend nothing on her. And talk about cook. Of course, she goes in mostly for these North Country meals, and, well, I find they blow me out a bit, you know.
How'd you come to meet her, Alfie?
Well, it was one night about 11 o'clock. She come in a cab. She'd come down from the north on a lorry. I don't know what she'd run away from, but you wouldn't have given tuppence for if you'd have seen her. Real down at hill she was. She'd no place, see. And I chatted her a bit, so I brings her back here, but I tells her she's got to get out the next morning. To be quite frank, I didn't fancy her a bit. I only took it in out of what you might call kindness. But she turns out to be a good little worker, and clean.
So you let her stay, Alfie?
Oh, no, not the next day. I turned her up when I was going, after all, you can't leave 'em loose in your place, what with all your gear around. But I did promise her if she hadn't found something or someone, she could stay at the corner about 5-ish, and I'd take her in and give her another night, see? Right enough, there she was waiting at 5 o'clock. She'd been wandering about on her own all day, and she was dead beat. Anyway, I takes her in, and she starts the cooking and the cleaning like mad, you know. So I do the same the next day. But the third day, I think it was on a Friday, she asked, could she stay at home and clean up and get a meal ready for me, see? Well, I ain't too keen on the idea of leaving her here on her own. But she says, if I'm worried, I can lock her in if I want. Anyway, when I got home...
Did you lock her in?
Nah, I was in 2 minds about it, but then I thought, what's the use? I mean, if she wants to do me, she'll do me. Instead, I gave her £10 to do some shopping. I took a risk. At times, you've got to take a risk. Anyway, when I got home, I hardly knew the place. She's a bit heavy on the soap, though.
Yeah, can I help you?
No, thanks.
Sit down, Lake. You'll only get in the way.
Do you take sugar?
Of course you do.
Oh, thanks very much.
Here, ain't you going to have any, Annie?
I'll have mine in the kitchen.
Oh, have it with us. Go on.
No, I'm doing something in the kitchen.
Here, girl, why don't you have a rest for a change? Get your feet up.
I've some pots to wash.
Please yourself.
Oh, I'll see you later, Annie.
All right. There's plenty of tea in the pot.
Now, come in any time.
Thank you.
I think she's quite attractive, Alfie.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you wouldn't want to be seen around with her, though.
Why not? I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, but I'm different from you. She ain't bad. In fact, when she comes in here of a night after she's had a good wash, she's got a cracking little face. But as for taking her out, she ain't got no decent club up for one thing. And for another, did you notice how she ain't with you half the time?
No, not particularly. I just thought she was a bit on the quiet side.
She's got something on her mind, if you ask me. At times she looks dead serious, and anybody like that done, I'll put a damper on the company. I've come on her when she looks real sad. Do you know what I mean? As though she's worried about something.
Well, I expect she is. Have you found out anything about her?
No, don't do it to ask too many questions. To be quite honest, I don't want to know, it gets you involved. But a time or two I've caught her looking at something in her handbag, and I've seen her with tears in her eyes. Anyway, I went through her handbag when she was out, and I saw a picture of two little kids, one about 2 and the other one about 12 months. Now, from remarks she's dropped on one thing and the other, I reckon she's done a bunk from home and left her kids. But same as I say, I ain't asked her, because what you don't know about, you don't think about. I mean, she don't want to go out, which looks like she's scared of the police.
What do you mean to do with her, Alfie?
How do you mean?
Well, will you keep her for good?
For good? Well, you can never say that, can you? I never worried my head about things like that, because I find it all works out in the end. But to be quite frank, I'm getting used to her being around. Do you know what I mean? Well, for one thing, I've always hated doing my own shopping. I don't half have some rows with the butcher and one thing and the other. Now, she saves me all that. And another thing, it's nice to come into a warm room and a meal. And I'm getting real used now to always having a clean shirt. I can slip one when I want. I suppose it makes you a bit lazy, but it ain't comfortable. The only thing is, I never know what's on her mind. And if you don't know what's on somebody's mind, you don't get real close to them. On the other hand, it's getting close to people that makes you have rows.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't even had one yet. Listen, she's scrapping away there. And she loves her little wireless.
It was a week or two later that I called on Alfie again. The moment I knocked on the door, I detected something different. And when I went inside, the place had changed utterly. The clean smell had gone, and in its place there was a stale odour of burnt cooking, smoke, and unwashed linen. The floor was unswept, and Alfie's dirty socks and shirts were strewn about the chairs. And on the table stood the day's crockery.
Sit down, Link, if you can find a place to sit.
Ah, what's up, Alfie?
Eh? Take them things off the chair.
Things have changed a bit. Where's the little quiet kid, Annie?
Oh, her? Oh, she's been gone a week or two now. It soon gets back to its old style,
Well, what happened? Did they come for her?
No, it was me. I flung her out,
You didn't.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you how it was. Mark you, I ain't sorry. Not really. I'd finished work one Saturday, say, about 1, and I'd had a few drinks with my mates, and at times like that, after a pint or two, I'd get what they call a little man or something comes on my shoulder, see, and he starts to talk to me. Do you know what I mean? He's simply saying something all the time in your ear.
I know what you mean, Alfie.
Well, now, I was listening to all my mates talking and laughing and one thing and the other, and in between I could hear this little man talking in my ear. He kept saying, "She'll have your dinner ready now and she'll be waiting for you. You better get going." And it kept getting on my wick, it did. Then when I was on the bus, he kept saying to me, "When you go indoors, she'll have everything clean and spotless, and as soon as you take your things off, she'll start washing them. And as soon as you wipe your nose, she'll take the hanky out of your pocket, and you'll no sooner have your socks off than she'll have them under the tap." He wasn't hot needling me, he was, I tell you. And when I gets off the bus, he kept saying to me, "The place ain't yours anymore, It's hers." I knew what he said wasn't true, but there was something in it, you know what I mean? "If you have her around much longer," he says, "she'll change you that much you won't be able to recognise yourself." Now, that's what I hate, a woman having the idea behind her head that she's going to change me. And as luck would have it, when I gets indoors, she made me one of them pie things for dinner. Hot pot, or what do you call it up there, up the north? Yeah, that's it, hot pot, that's what you call it, ain't it? Yeah. Well, anyway, she said something about it having gone dry waiting for me, quiet like. But with that, I let off and I tells her what I think about her and her bleeding cooking. It wasn't what she said, but what I was expecting her to say that got me. So I says I'd sooner have a feed of faggots from the calf. Then I goes and sloshes me hands under the tap and I wipes them on the clean towel and blackens it. And then I starts going on about all the tea she drinks and how she runs the batteries down on the wireless so that it ain't loud enough when I want it, and all the soap she wastes. But she don't say a word, and that makes me worse. So I goes a-saying things that I know are lies, but will upset her, you know. He was still whispering in my ear, see, and I couldn't stop saying things even though I knew I was being my own biggest enemy. I even said about her and the kids and one thing and the other, what must have made her know I'd been going for her handbag. And what was worse, I reckon I let her see what I must have had on my mind all the time. Well, it's not what you say as much as what you've been thinking to say it. Anyway, I picks up this bleeding hot pot and I smashes it on the floor. Something in me kept telling me to stop, but I couldn't for this bleeding whispering in my ear. Even when I smashed the dish, she don't say nothing. As though she was used to blokes behaving like that. But what she does is to go and pull her little suitcase up from under the bed and she opens it and she starts packing her one or two things in it, see? And her washing what was hanging on the line in the kitchen. Now, if she'd rucked me back or started crying, I might have said I was sorry, but she didn't. So I grabbed some of her stockings and things and I fling them in the case and I says, I'll help you to bleed more back. And then she takes a last look round the room to see she got everything, which come to that wasn't very much. And the next thing I hear is the front door shut. And I knows I'm on my own again.
You must have been sorry, Alfie, once she'd gone.
Nah, to be quite honest, I was relieved. Well, I felt my old self again, do you know what I mean? I could fling me things anywhere like I always used to, and I could eat just what I wanted out of the frying pan, come to that. Of course, I will admit something was missing. I begins to clear the hot pot off the floor, and then I smell something good. You see, I opens the oven, and I sees an egg custard, what she knew I was very fond of. That gave me a bit of a turn. It showed me that she'd been doing good for me whilst I'd been thinking bad of her. After all, she had done her best and I'd flung her out. It was a rotten feeling, but I soon got over it. For a day or two I tried to keep things like she'd kept them, you know, but I couldn't. So I soon slipped back to my old ways. I missed her a lot the first week, quite surprised it was, but now it's just as though I'd never seen her at all in my life. Except when I forget myself, you know, and I open the door and I think I'll get a whiff of one of them lovely dishes she used to make. I expect to see her standing there. I miss her at them times, but, well, you've got to do what you've got to do, ain't you? It's no use going against it, you know what I mean?
When I called on Alfie the next time, which was some months later, he'd left the place and there was no forwarding address. He appeared to be oddly casual in his friendships, but a couple of years later he did telephone me and I went to see him. His room was a poorer one and I was shocked when I saw Alfie. He'd gone very thin and his cheeks were sunken, and his eyes had a sickly brightness to them. Oddly enough, he still retained the boyish appearance, but it was of a tired boy. However, he was as lively as ever in his talk, except that at times he got a little breathless.
Here I am, I've had something happen to me since I saw you last. I was up with a cold, you know, and it kept sticking, so the doc sent me for an X-ray checkup. Well, I mean, people are always having them. Anyway, I was better the morning I went to see about the result. It was a smashing little day, and I kept, you know, I felt it was so good, and I thought, God, this ain't a bad little life, drawing a sick money and making a few bob on the side and all that caper. Then when I got there, I sees the woman doctor. And do you know what she did? She showed me the X-ray plate. 2 patches on my right arm. Do you know what? I felt 10 years older on the spot. And when she'd asked me the questions the week before, every answer was the opposite she'd expected. She said, do you sweat? I said, no. Do you have pains in your back? I said, no. Have you lost weight? No. But once I got the news, I was waking up every night boiling in sweat. That from it, I would have been up to 150. And I have a great big pain in my bleeding back that sticks, and before I can turn around, I lost 7 pounds. Look at my arms, they're like drumsticks. I sent a van round with my invalid's dinner. 2 old dames come in with it, sloshed it down on a plate. Here, I said, that's cold. That's right, you've got to order it up yourself, that'd be $1. To be quite frank, I says, I'd sooner you hadn't brought it, so do me a favour, don't call again. Well, I didn't want to be rude, but I felt I had to be told, you know. I'm going to a sanatorium, but I ain't going to tell a soul where I am. I am coming in and saying you're getting better when I can see you're going down the neck. I made a mind at it, and we used to tell him to his face he looked marvellous, And as soon as we got out, we'd say, "Oh, Reg ain't gonna last long." "No, he's had it," we'd say. "See his bleeding eyes sunk in his head." 3 months he lasted. I mean, what can I say to a sick bloke when they come to see him? "I think you're going to snuff it, mate. You look on your last legs to me." Well, it's the only thing to say. I reckon I ain't had a bad little innings, so I'll see how long I last. And another thing, I ain't had a bad do I had with a little kid I've been going out with. She got in the family way and we had to fix it with a boat, to get shot of it. Well, it was marvellous at the time, and then this had to happen. Anyway, she came here because, well, after it's done, you've got to wait and see for the thing to happen on its own. I did not have a rough time, I did. She was lying on that bed there, moaning away and one thing and the other. To be quite honest, I thought she was going to kick the bucket.
Oh.
How'd you feel, girl?
Oh, rotten. Oh, Alfie.
Oh, you do not look pale, you do.
Oh.
Your face is dead white,
Oh, you're not going to leave me, are you, Alfie?
Yeah, you're not going to snuff it, are you, girl?
Don't go off and leave me here alone, Alfie.
What can I do?
Oh, I don't want to be left alone. I'm frightened.
Now, look, don't lose your nerve, girl. Keep calm. Anyway, I can't do nothing.
Oh, Alfie.
What's that? What is it?
It hurts me.
What hurt you?
I don't know. Oh, I'm aching all over. Oh.
Can you feel it coming away yet?
Oh, I don't know. I feel ever so tired. Oh.
Well, look, I don't want to hang about too long.
What do you mean, Alfie?
Oh, I mean in case anything happens. I mean to you.
Oh.
Well, you can never be sure, can you? They'd be onto me like a shot. Anyway, I've got a bloke to meet.
Oh. Alfie, you do love me, don't you? Oh.
Of course I love you.
Tell me you love me.
Oh, I love you. I love you. I love you. Hey, are you satisfied?
Oh. Hold me hand, Alfie.
Yeah, all right. Cool, your hand and up and sweaty. Blood.
I'm frightened, Alfie. Oh.
Yeah, if anything happened, I'd get 3 years inside, I might get more.
Oh, you're always thinking of yourself, aren't you, Alfie?
No, it ain't that, but what I mean is it ain't going to help you if, you're pushing up Daisy and I'm inside. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, you ain't going to run off and leave me here, are you, Alfie?
No, stop going on about it. What's the matter with you?
Oh,
I'm sorry. Look, it don't set me off when you start that crowning lark. I hate anything like that.
Oh.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, but suppose you was to write one of them anonymous notes saying as how you had done it on your own and nobody knew anything about it.
How do you mean?
Well, just to be on the safe side, that'd cover me, see? Here, come on, I'll get you a bit of paper in there.
Oh.
No, not with my pen. They might tumble to that. You must have one in your bag.
Oh.
Here, have a fag and stop groaning. You don't know put the wind up me, you do. Had you got some paper? Here we are. This'll do.
What'll I say? Oh.
And look, say something about you done it on your own and nobody didn't know nothing about it. Here. That's it,
Oh.
But don't forget to sign it at the bottom. I know it don't look nice, but that ain't going to do you no harm. Well, it'll put my mind at ease. I stuck by her, I did. I didn't go out and leave her, but I couldn't stick it out in the same room the way she was moaning and whatnot. So I slipped out and I had a drink. I got back as quick as I could. It was all dead quiet, and the first thing that crossed my mind was that she'd snuffed it. So I tiptoed in. It was all over. It had come away. She was all right. Except she was lying there dead pale and quiet. She opened her eyes and she kept them fixed on me. Everything all right? How'd you feel, girl? She don't say nothing. Not with her mouth. But she says enough with her eyes. She kept watching me, see? Now, I hate anything like that. I don't know, it put me off. I could see she hated me like poison. Well, then I had to get rid of it, see? At a stop. I did not get a shot, Well, it was real, do you know what I mean? She was only 3 months gone or something, but I'd expected... Well, I didn't know what I'd expected, but this thing was real. Did not give me a shot. I was scared of touching it. Well, I thought it might say something. Well, I knew it couldn't talk or cry like, but that was what went through my head. It looked as though it had life in it. It looked more human in a way than a proper child, you see. It was so little, and yet it was so perfect. Yeah, do you know what I thought? It's dead. That's funny, isn't it? But that's what I did think. Upset me proper. I began to cry. You know what I mean? Tears just started to run down my face. Well, as I'm keeping my mitts under the tap scrubbing them, you see, a funny thing happened. You know how you sometimes hear noises in your head? Well, I kept thinking I could hear it crying, a baby crying. I don't know what it was. It might have only been the wind or something like that, making funny noises, but I could hear it in my head, just like it was a child. When I got it all put away safe so it could never be found, I feels a bit better, and I put some water on, makes a cup of tea, see? And I takes her one in, with plenty of sugar and milk in it and that. She took the tea, she didn't say nothing to me, and I didn't say nothing to her. When she looked at me, it wasn't as bad as it had been before, but she didn't smile or nothing like that. The thought that crossed my mind was that it was all over between us. I didn't fancy it no more. I felt sorry for it, if you know what I mean, but I also felt sorry for myself. Oh, well, anyway, I didn't want reminding, and, well, that was how it worked out, She got over it. Well, not what you'd say properly over it, but she was quite friendly with me after that, But blimey, I couldn't fancy it again. I don't know what it was. I think men are just more sensitive than women, Matter of fact, I couldn't get it out of my mind the way she looked at me when I'd gone into her. And it seemed that every time I saw her, things had come back, well, they'd just come back into my mind that I didn't want to know, Oh, blimey, I'll never forget hearing that wailing going on. Of course, it was the imagination, do you know what I mean?
On my first meeting with Alfie after he'd recovered, he was a changed man in some ways.
Money ain't no use, women ain't no use, nothing ain't no use if you ain't got your good health. Good health is of primary importance. Money don't come nowhere. Being in the sanatorium taught me that. Blokes in there with fortunes in the bank, they wouldn't have to change their places willingly with the chap outside as a sweeping the leaves up. You know what I mean? They said they would. They did an operation on my back, collapsing a lung or something. You know what, I thought I was cut from top to bottom, and it turned out it was no more than half inch long. I couldn't believe it when I saw it in the mirror. Cause you don't know what a treasure a bit of good health is, till it's been taken away from you. No, I don't go in for that money caper anymore, so long as I just got enough. Because you don't know use nursing yourself. You've got to get out and get your good health. The blokes in that place that followed all the instructions was the last to come out. You've got to get yourself better. Do you know what I mean? And I definitely ain't going to worry over nothing no more. Or else the pounds will start rolling on me again. What difference does money make if you ain't got good health? You get that first, then you can go in for the money, the beautiful clothes and the women. Do you see what I mean? The trouble about money is, once you get some, it gets a grip on you. I knew a bloke worked at our firm as a watchman. And he'd never paid for a drink, saving up all his life. Got about 2,000 nicker in the bank, so he keeps talking about when he retires, he's going to build a bungalow, he's going to be living by the sea. He takes firewood home to his missus, he charges her for it. She was a good soul, Katie, but he made their lives a misery. He did always on about money. Wouldn't go out at night, always got his eyes glued on the television. I used to go round there. And if I asked him at the end of the evening what he'd been watching, he couldn't tell me a blind thing about it. He wouldn't eat proper either, begrudged the money he spent on grub. So the next thing, he's down to Sevenstone, he has to go into hospital. He comes out of hospital after having his ulcers and one or two other things removed, and he's too mean to go on holiday. We kept telling him, spend a couple of $100 nicker, it's going to get your health back. But he won't listen. He goes back to work too soon. Off again. And the next thing, she's taking him up a cup of tea in bed one morning. He's lying there. He's snuffed it. Now, Katie's going to have a good time with all the money. So we think. Nuts on your life. Once she gets hold of it, she's just as bad as him. She don't never go out, sits watching the telly, where she used to like going out to the pub. Now she'll snuff it next and have to leave it to somebody else. You know what I mean?
Yes?
Oh, good evening. I'm looking for a Mr. Elkins.
Mr. Elkins?
Ah, Alfie Elkins.
That you, Lang?
Hello there.
Come in, mate. Ruby, this is that mate of mine, Lang. You know, I told you about him. We used to work together.
How do you do?
Pleased to meet you, I'm sure.
Come in, mate. Fred, turn it down a bit, will you?
Okay.
Lang, this is a mate of mine, Fred. I don't think you met him.
Hiya, Lang.
How do you do?
What do you have to drink?
Oh, I wouldn't mind a beer.
We got everything except beer.
Have a whiskey?
Oh, have you got a sherry?
Yes. Freddie, turn it on properly again, will you?
Well, what's up?
I like something going on in the background when I'm talking, or else it feels funny. Know what I mean, Freddie?
Yeah, I'm just the same, Ruby. It makes your voice sound funny when everything's quiet.
Yeah. Well, cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Ruby, can I show him round?
You can if you want.
Yeah, it's a smashing flat.
Come on, Lang. Here, I'll show you our bedroom, mine and Ruby's.
Aye, I'd like to see that.
What do you think of that lot?
Looks pretty luxurious.
Just what I said. I ain't not landed on my feet here, I have. She's crazy about me.
Oh, it's rather warm in here, Alfie.
Yeah, well, it's the central heating, you see, and Ruby don't like the windows open. It brings the dust in. Oh, it's just up here, isn't it? I'll open this window. Oh, that's better. Here. This is Ruby's wardrobe. Just have a look in. She and I've got some expensive clubber. What do you think of her?
Oh, she's not bad, Alfie.
She's a beautiful dresser. She's a widow, see? She owns a ladies' hairdresser, you know, I was telling you about. She could be 40, 45, or top like 50. But she's in beautiful condition for a woman of her age.
Ah, she looked well cared for.
I love showing her up, you know. Here, look at that coat. Baby mink or something like that. Feel it, come on. That's worth a few hundred necker for a start. You know what? I think I might marry and settle down with this one.
Oh, I can't quite see you settling down, Alfie.
That's where you're wrong. Do you know what? I've taken quite a fancy to Ruby. Apart from the fact she's got some money, I mean, she can look after herself. She don't want you telling her everything. What's up, Ruby?
Who opened the window, Alfie?
Oh, I did.
Who told you?
Well, it felt stuck here.
I
Laura.
could feel the draft. I told you I don't want the place full of dust.
See what I mean, Lang? She don't wrap nothing up. You tell her what you think, and she tells you what she thinks. You know where you are with Ruby. She's in marvellous condition, she is.
Yes? Hello there.
Is that you, Lang? This is me.
Hello, Alfie.
You at home? I mean, you're not going out?
No, not at this hour.
Right, I'll be round about quarter of an hour, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Here, Lang, listen. I ain't ever asked you for nothing, have I? I am now. Could you lend me 10 quid?
Yeah, sure, Alfie. I think so.
Right, I'll be seeing you. You don't mind me walking around, Lang, while I tell you?
Oh, walk as much as you want, Alfie. Here, let me fill your glass up.
Right, but I've got to be going soon.
How did it happen, Alfie?
She just flung me out.
Flung you out?
Straight up, she packed my case with all my things, and what she couldn't get into the case, she put in a couple of brown carrier bags.
What started it all?
Oh, different things. The fact is, she said I was getting to be no use to her. You know what I mean. I did my best, but...
You can't do more than that.
Oh, I could have one time a day. She'd been having it off with my mate Fred for a few weeks now.
Well, you mean the chap I
The
met...
ginger-haired geezer he used to slip in when I went out.
Your own mate.
Well, it's better your own mate than a stranger.
Oh, I suppose so.
Nothing when you do the dirty on a woman. But blimey, I wasn't half choked when I found out.
Ah, it must have been a shock.
Nothing's a shock in this life. It's more disappointment. Especially after all the money I'd spent on her.
Well, I thought she had plenty of her own.
If a rich woman takes you hard, it always costs you more than if you took out a poor girl. You don't ever get nothing out of rich folk, they get it out of you. I'd nigh on 300 necker when I first met her. Now I ain't got a sausage. And I've got no place either. I'm staying at Fredstown.
Yeah, but isn't he the...
Yeah, he's the villain. He moved in, see, with Ruby in my place. Well, same as he said. It wouldn't have done me no good if he'd refused her. I can stay in his room till I get one of my own, so it's worked out handy that way, that it was it.
Oh, I suppose so.
Yeah. Well, I ain't going to load you with my worries, mate. I can't stand other people. Thanks for the 10 necker, but I can't say when you'll get it back.
Oh, don't worry about that, Alfie.
She's a right cow, this Ruby. But I don't seem to be able to get her out of my mind.
You will.
I keep saying things against her, but it don't make no difference. She was very mumsy in one way, you know, when I was in her good books. Another thing was you could take her anywhere, you know, up the West End, and you wouldn't see a better dressed woman. I always used to sleep good, but these last 2 nights I've slept real bad. Blimey, I've got to get moving.
All right, Alfie. I'll come to the door with you.
I mean, I don't care for her no more than fly in the air, but I wish I could just get her off my mind.
Oh, it's a wet night. What about it?
Well, there's times when you don't mind a bit of rain. Do you know what I mean? I was lying there in bed last night and I couldn't get her out of my thoughts. She was a beautiful dresser. I love the smell of her fur coat, you know, the one I showed you. Up to now, I ain't had room in my thoughts for anybody but myself, and definitely not for somebody who wasn't there. Well, I've got to be off.
Oh, so you don't catch cold?
What if I do? What's the use of good health, mate, if you ain't got peace of mind? You know what I mean? I'll see you.
So long, Alfie.
So long, mate.
In Alfie Elkins and His Little Life by Bill Norton, Alfie was played by Bill Owen, Ruby by Hilda Fenimore, Annie, Barbara Young, Elsie, Norma Griffin, Fred, Charles Leno, Station Officer, Joe Stern, and the narrator, John Brining. And that was Douglas Cleverden's original 1962 production.
Miss Lonely Hearts by Nathaniel West, dramatized by Vincent McInerney, with Nigel Anthony as the narrator, Bill Wallace as Shrike, and William Hope as Miss Lonely Hearts.
I went down to the St. James Infirmary, found my baby there, stretched out on a long white table, so sweet, so cold, so fair. Let her go, God bless her, wherever she may be. She can search this wide world over, she'll never find a sweet man like me.
One day in the very early spring of the year 1933, Miss Lonely Hearts of the New York Dispatch, are you in trouble? Do you need advice? Write to Miss Lonely Hearts and she will help you, was making his way slowly to the office. For all his stylish, cheap clothes, he still looked like the son of a New England Baptist minister. Puritan forehead, long nose, chin shaped and cleft like a hoof. So much so that his boss, Shrike, seeing him for the first time, had observed that the Susan Chesters, the Beatrice Fairfaxes, and the Miss Lonely Hearts are the priests of 20th century America. Miss Lonely Hearts reached the door of the city room, paused for a moment.
Hi, Miss L. Miss L, you're
Dear, sick of it all. Yes, life is worthwhile, for it's full of dreams, peace, and faith. It burns like a clear white flame on a dark altar.
Miss L, what's new?
Hello, Goldsmith.
Shrike says to tell you deadline's quarter of an hour and that he's writing you a prayer. Hey, here, today's batch. You're a big success, fella. You just keep it up.
Dear Miss Lonely Hearts, I'm in such pain I think I will kill myself. My kidneys hurt so much. My husband thinks no woman can be a good Catholic and not have children irregardless of pain. I was married from church, but no one ever told me about married life, so I never knew. It don't pay to be innocent. I had 7 children in 12 years and have been operated on twice, and my husband promised no more as I might die, and now I'm going to have a baby, and... Dear Miss Lonely Hearts, I'm 16 years old and would appreciate if you would tell me what to do. When I was a little girl, it was not so bad as I got used to all the other kids making fun of me, but now I would like a boyfriend, except no one will have me because I was born without a nose. Oh. Even though I'm quite a good dancer and have a nice shape. Dear Miss Lonely Hearts, Harold S. I'm writing for my little sister Grace. What would you do if the same thing happened to your family? Gracie, Daff, and Dom has to play on the roof so as not to get run over. But she ain't so smart. Last week, a man...
Hold it right there, Moses. And listen to this. Soul of Miss L, glorify me. Body of Miss L, nourish me. Blood of Miss L, intoxicate me. Oh, good, Miss L, excuse my plea and hide me in your heart. Help me, Miss L, help me, in cyclara, amen. And now let's see what you got.
That's right.
Same old creeping Jesus stuff. Come on, my boy, give him something new, something hopeful. Tell him about art. Here, let me... there. Friends! Art is a way out, friends. Do not let life overwhelm you, no. When the old paths are choked with the debris of failure, look for one that is new. Look, in fact, for art. For art is distilled from suffering, as is all creation. While for those who do not have the talent to create, there is always appreciation. You follow me? So, take it from there, Miss L. You hear me? Go on from there.
Everybody's selling it.
Yeah.
Everybody's buying it.
Yes.
You can't get enough of that stuff. Some like it weak, some like it strong. Stuff is what they want, right or wrong. A cow took a drink and said, give me room. It made the cow jump over the moon. The more you get, the more you want. You can't get enough of that stuff. I mean, you can't get enough of that stuff.
After work, the weather had warmed up. The air smelling artificially heated, Miss Lonely Hearts decided to go for a drink at Delahanty's speakeasy. He made his way toward the small park he had to cross and entered, swallowing mouthfuls of the heavy shadow that curtained its arch. The shadow of a lamppost which lay on the path pierced his side like a spear, and suddenly tired, he decided to sit on a broken bench. He looked down. There were no signs of spring evident in the mottled ground. No signs of life. It would take all the brutality of July to torture through a few green shoots, which would then smell of feet. He closed his eyes. He had initially taken the job on the newspaper in the hopes it might lead to the gossip column. At first he had treated the letters as a joke. All 30 a day, all stamped from the dough of suffering with a heart-shaped cookie knife. But now, his correspondents took him seriously. He'd become a great success through glibness and cliché, but the joke had rebounded. And now, what he needed was an answer to their suffering and his ineptitude. He searched the sky, looking for angels, flaming crosses, wheels within wheels. Nothing but a newspaper lying across a tree like a kite with a broken back. Christ was the real answer, of course. But if he did not want to get sick, he had to stay away from the Christ business, for as a boy in his father's church, he discovered that something stirred in him when he shouted the name of Christ. Something secret and enormously powerful that lay coiled in him like a snake, that he had never yet allowed to become alive. He shivered as he left the park and made the short walk to Delahanty's, which was located behind an armored door in the cellar of a brownstone house. Miss Lonely Hearts pressed the concealed button and waited patiently as a bloodshot eye that glowed like a ruby in an antique iron ring inspected him through the peephole. They were all there.
The boss is over there, Miss L. Waiting for you.
Ah, there you are. Delahanty and drink for our young friend? Come closer, my boy, or are we brooding again?
For Christ's sake, Shrike, give it a break, will you?
Christ? Never mind Christ. Forget the crucifixion. Remember the Renaissance. There were no brooders then. Drunken popes, brown Greek manuscript mistresses with smooth, marbly limbs. Which reminds me, I'm expecting an admirer shortly, Emma Farkas. She works in a bookstore and writes on the side, but wait until you see her rear end.
Wait, lay off, will you?
J.C., your only sweetheart, I suppose. Over here! Wow, look at those bylines. Hi, Farky, this is Miss Lonelyhearts, does the sob column on the paper. Even so, I want you to show him the same respect you show me, as he, too, is a comforter of the poor in spirit and a lover of God.
What were you talking about so excitedly when I got here?
Only religion, Farky.
Get me a drink and please continue. I'm very much interested in the new Thomistic synthesis.
St. Thomas? What do you take us for, stinking intellectuals? We're not fake Europeans. America has its own religion. We were discussing Christ, the Miss Lonelyhearts of all Miss Lonelyhearts. You want a synthesis? Here. This is real American synthesis material. Frank H. Rice, Supreme Pontiff, Liberal Church of America, announces goat and adding machine ritual for William Moyer, a condemned slayer. Prayers to be offered on adding machine as numbers constitute the only universal language. What do you say to that?
Really?
Quiet, you damned bitch! Quiet, you here.
Mr. Shrike, I got a bar to run. No violence, please, sir. Well, there's the back room.
Mr. Shrike, Saint Shrike to you, Delahanty.
Yeah.
Have you not heard of my passion in the luncheonette, my agony in the soda fountain? When I compared the wounds in Christ's body to the mouths of a miraculous purse in which we deposit the small change of our sins, and what of the holes in our own bodies which open into a wondrous jungle, where hang veins alongside overripe organs, where entrails writhe in tangles of red and yellow, and what of the bird that lives in this jungle? One that flits from lungs to intestines, from liver to lights and back again, and is called the soul. A bird the Catholic hunts with bread and wine, the Hebrew with a golden ruler, the Protestant with leaden words on leaden feet, the Buddhist with gestures, and the Negro with blood. Yet I spit on them all. Puh, I call you to spit too. Puh, because, my friends, a bird is better alive in the jungle than stuffed on the library table. Am I right, Farky? Come here. Let me show you.
Mr. Shrike, please, Mr. Shrike.
And you, Miss L. Withercoe, what's thou? Quo vadis, Miss L. Quo vadis.
Leaving the speakeasy, the last thing Miss Lonelyheart saw was Shrike, burying his white, expressionless, triangular face into Miss Farkas's neck. On the sidewalk, he stood swaying for a moment, then caught a cab back to his apartment. He lived in a room that was as full of shadows as an old steel engraving. The walls bare, except for an ivory Christ he had removed from its crucifix, and then nailed with large spikes opposite the bottom of the bed. Miss Lonelyhearts undressed and took up a cigarette and a copy of the Brothers Karamazov, where Father Zosima reflects that whoever loves all things will eventually perceive the divine mystery, and at last come to love the whole world with an all-embracing love. Miss Lonelyhearts realized this was excellent advice that could possibly lead to his column being syndicated, but on a more serious level, knew his vocation was of a different sort. He fixed his eyes on the image that hung opposite, began to chant, Christ, Christ, Jesus Christ. And the snake began to uncoil. But as it did, so he felt frightened and closed his eyes and dreamt.
Right. Here's your rock. Come on, drag it over.
You think this is all right?
Sure, look, we argue all night about the existence of God until we run out of whiskey, so then what?
Well, early market, I suppose, to get some more. But this lamb business...
Sacrifice, plenty of biblical precedent. Simply practical work to back up our theory. And all in the best tradition. Buy a knife, buy a lamb, find a mountain, find a rock, scatter some flowers, and then... No, round this way. Cross the flat, get its neck exposed, hold it... Hold it.
Hell, you've only wounded it. Where's it gone?
The underbrush. Come on. We better go. Somebody will be up here shortly. And come on, I'll race you down.
What the hell's the matter with you? Where you going now? Where you going?
Back to complete the sacrifice!
After the dream, in the succeeding days, Miss Lonely Hearts found he had developed an almost insane sensitiveness to order. Everything had to form a pattern. Shoes, ties, pencils, buildings on the skyline. For a little while he seemed to hold his own, until the day all inanimate objects began to conspire against him. Collar buttons disappeared under the bed, the razor handle fell off, the blind refused to close. Frightened, he fled to the streets, but there chaos was simply multiplied. He stood against the wall, trying not to see or hear. Then he remembered Betty, and how when she straightened his tie, he often felt she straightened out much more. He gave her address to the taxi driver and told him to hurry, but knew by the time they reached there his panic would have turned to irritation.
I need loving every day. I got to drive my blues away. You got to put your mind on it. You got to put your mind on it.
Hello, Betty. Betty the Buddha, in her white dressing robe and arms smoothed by the sea.
Are you coming in?
Sure. How are you? Here. Too much the lover's return, I know. My tongue like a fat thumb. How long is it?
Oh, I don't know. 2 months. Where have you been? Will you eat dinner with me?
Sure, let's sit down here on the sofa. Betty, that last night when I asked you to marry me, it was just... I felt that as a solution it was possible at that time, but now...
Do you want a drink?
Why are you smiling? Always smiling.
Always so damn sure. But I'll tell you something. My confusion is significant while your order is not. Look, that marriage business, me in front of the fire, you in your gingham apron, it's not gonna work. It's...
What's wrong? You look... Let me feel your forehead.
Get your goddamn hand off of me! How about I grab you here, inside your robe? Let me pluck this rose, huh? Put it in my buttonhole.
You are, aren't you? Sick?
Am I? What a kind bitch you are. Somebody acts violently, they're sick. Wife torturers, rapers of small children, all sick. No morality, only medicine. Well, maybe I am. Maybe I got a Christ complex. You heard of that one? All those broken bastards. I love them. But I can't help them, not unless I was Christ. Do you understand me? Listen. Listen to this. Because if I'm sick, this is what causes it. Dear Miss Lonely Hearts, being an admirer of your column as you give such good advice to those in trouble, I would like now to tell you my problem. A year ago, my husband left me. Then he got 6 months off the judge for non-support of my little girl, and the judge says after 3 months, give him another chance. I did, and have spent now $30 afterwards in the dentist. I find under his pillow a hammer, scissors, and stuff, and that is not the worst, as I have now got this disease he first got while in the forces. And then it goes on for another 5 pages of graduated terror, after which she signs herself Broad Shoulders. Now, what can I tell her, Betty? What advice do I give her? What advice would you give? Come on, share your knowledge, tell me. You here, tell me. Something. Anything. Tell me, Betty. Anything!
I love you.
You what?
I love you.
And I love you. So what?
Why don't you just leave me alone? I felt swell before you came. And now I feel lousy. Just go away! Please, just go away! Dear friends, you know where to find them.
Delahanty, more whiskey. Jeez, Miss L, who gave you the lip? I mean, what's the other guy look like?
Hey, Goldsmith, I got the chair.
Okay.
So these women riders, they all go by 3 names. Mary Roberts Wilcox, Ella Wheeler Catheter, Fort Mary Reinhardt. You know what that means?
They all need a good rape. Soon drop that trick English accent and how much beauty hurts stuff. That poetess from Vassar went around the speakeasies collecting facts for a novel about life. Well, they took her in the back room for 3 days. Sold tickets on the 3rd. Hey, you heard about that one, Miss L?
Yeah, sure, Golden.
Shrike says Miss L's a leper licker.
Hey, Delahanty, serve this man a leper.
Trouble with Miss L is his approach to God. Too damn literary. Plain song, Latin poetry, medieval painting, Hisman, stained glass windows, crap like that. Any genuine religious experience of his would only make sense to a psychologist anyway.
Yeah, well, I've had enough of this joint. Come on, Miss L. Let's try somewhere else. Here, give me your arm. Hey, you look terrible. You know that? Thought of asking Shrike for the sports page? Let's head that away. Jeez, look at the snow. I'm going outside for a moment. I may be gone sometime.
Miss Lonely Hearts had long stopped listening to his friends in Delahanty's, telling their stories until they were too drunk to talk, aware of their own childishness, yet not knowing how else to revenge themselves. At college, maybe for a year afterward, they believed in literature, beauty, and personal expression. But when they lost this, they lost everything. Money and fame meant nothing to them. They were not worldly men. For a while at the start of the evening, he had felt warm and sure. The whiskey had tasted good. And through the light blue tobacco smoke, the mahogany bar had shone like wet gold. The glasses and bottles, when touched by the bartender, had rung like bells. He had forgotten the balm in his heart and had thought back to his childhood, when once, waiting for his father to come home from church, he had gone to the piano and played a little Mozart dance. To his amazement, his younger sister, who had never danced before, began to gravely step to the music. He had stood at the bar, remembering, and swaying slightly to the long-forgotten measures. Then a picture of children dancing came into his mind, first one, then another, until in the end there was not one child on the whole earth who was not dancing. Lost in this vision, he had stepped back and accidentally collided with a man carrying a glass of beer. After listening carefully to his apology, the man had punched him in the mouth. Then he was in the back room fingering a loose tooth. Then listening to his friends at the bar. Now outside in the snow with Goldsmith. His anger swung in large drunken circles. What was this Christ business? Where would it take him? It was all the fault of the letters. Just to be able to truly believe would mean he could answer them truly. Did that make sense? He and Goldsmith staggered along until they found themselves in front of a comfort station. They decided to go in and warm up.
Hey, look at that old guy asleep on the john.
Well, well, snug as a bug in a rug, eh?
What? What do you want? Who are you?
If you can't get a woman, get a clean old man.
Goldsmith, he's doing no harm.
Fancy an outing, partner?
Well, really?
Grab an arm, Miss L. Hey, what's your name, friend?
Simpson. George B. Simpson.
Now pick up your cane and put on your gloves, George. And let's make this a night to remember.
Appetizing young love for sale.
So, what's wrong with whiskey?
I simply prefer coffee. Perhaps you might care for some yourself.
Listen, you. Cut that stuff. Let's hear the story of your life.
Oh, really? You
See, we're scientists. He's Havelock Ellis, and I'm Kraft Evans. Now, George, when did you first discover homosexualistic tendencies in yourself? Yeah, sure. But your little differences from other men?
No, he didn't mean to insult you, George. Scientists just have terribly bad manners. But you are a pervert, aren't you?
I refuse to... Hey, what's that cake? Grab it, quick! Oh, hell, sit down, Miss L. The old fag's had enough. Who'd have thought he had it in him, huh?
Not from me. I'm gonna get his story if I have to kill him.
No, but you were sympathetic to the guy. I mean, what's got into you? What the hell's going on with you, Miss L? What the hell's going on?
If you want to buy our wares, follow us and climb the stairs.
Next morning, Miss Lonely Hearts opened his eyes to find the room revolving around him like a Catherine wheel. It had been okay with Simpson at first until the man had become distressed. Then Simpson's pain had reminded him of a small frog he had trod on years ago, whose spilled guts had filled him with pity until its suffering had become real to him, at which point he had crushed it. As with the frog, so with Simpson. His reaction was to crush. This meant twisting Simpson's arm up his back until the man screamed, and Goldsmith had hit Miss Lonely Hearts over the head with a chair. In reality, he was really twisting the arm of his correspondents, of desperate, broken-hearted, sick of it all. Twisting their arms because he refused to open his big, understanding heart to receive them properly.
Yeah?
You know what time it is? 3:30. You coming in today?
I'm still drunk. I'll try and get there.
You know what you need, my boy, don't you?
Some whiskey, or a bath, or a clean shirt.
No, my friend, you need more than that. Christ, of course, though I feel you're drawing nearer to him all the time, but also, well, how is Betty these days?
She's fine. How's Mary?
Fine. You've seen her lately?
No, not lately.
Maybe you should.
Maybe even today.
Sure, give her a ring. Grab a bottle and get round to the apartment.
You gonna be joining us?
My boy, I've work to do, but say hello to her from me, won't you?
Look here, sweet mama, where have you been? You walk like whiskey and you smell like gin. I was afraid of that.
Hello, who is it?
It's me, Mary.
Oh, you. Well, we've been fighting again, and this time I'm finally through.
Yeah, I've just been talking to him. He suggested that I come around to see you.
The bastard. That's it. Hey, does that mean you haven't been in today? You're not careful, he'll fire you.
The only way he's going to do that, Mary, is if I... Well, you and I maybe...
Not that again. Look, just buy some hooch and get over here. Maybe later. We'll see.
My old man was peeping through the keyhole. Saw Mama and Iceman making jelly roll. I was afraid of that.
Surprise, huh? Come on in, homebreaker. The wife is taking a bath. Here, let me take that bottle. Whiskey and the boss's wife, huh? Still better your heart and your work and your mouth where it usually is. Just don't put this on your expense account.
Well, you're just an old meanie who beats his wife, huh?
You're wrong, my boy. It's Mary does the beating. Hence the Miss Farkases of this world. Yes, I suffer. I, too. You don't know her! That wife of mine, a virgin when we married and been trying to stay one ever since, like sleeping with a knife in your groin. One bitch, one damn selfish bitch!
Well, you're hurt, Shrike. You're finally hurt. And I'm glad. You understand? Glad, glad, glad.
Say, what's all the racket? Oh, you're here, Miss L. Don't talk to that pig. Bring that bottle into the bedroom. Come on. He doesn't care. Do ya? Bastard! Come on. What did that swine say to you?
That you were selfish, Mary? Sexually selfish.
Oh, goddamn nerve. Lets me go out with guys like you to save money. Then when I come home with the hots, climbs into my bed and practically begs me for it. The cheap bastard. Right, where we eat. Oh, no, you must be. I know. El Gaucho. Yeah, it's gay, and that's what I need tonight. Okay, let's go grab a cab.
When they reached El Gaucho, it was full of the same people who wrote to Miss Lonely Hearts for help. Mary, on being led to a table by a man dressed as a South American cowboy, immediately went Spanish, her movements becoming languid and full of abandon. Miss Lonely Hearts began to feel very tired.
These waiters dressed as vaqueros really get to me. Sure, it's a little fakey, but so what? It's gay. And that's what I want it to be.
Why, Mary?
Everybody does. Unless they're sick, don't they?
Mary, the way to be gay is to make others gay. Sleep with me and I'll be one gay dog.
I've had a tough time, you know. I saw my mother die. Cancer of the breast. The pain was terrible.
Mary, sleep with me. Save me.
I know. Let's dance.
Okay, tell me about your mother.
She died leaning over a table. She climbed out of bed. Look.
I got it. It's okay.
My father, though, cruel. A portrait painter, a genius. But as far as his family went, well...
Oh, you poor kid, Mary. What's that between your breasts?
Just my medal.
Blessed Virgin?
Mm-hmm.
St. Jude?
Here, have a look down. Read it.
Awarded Boston Latin School, 100 yards dash. Just let me...
No, not in public. Now, my father was a very gay man. Gay all the time.
Una cosa me da risa, Pancho Villa sin camisa, ya se van los carrancistas, porque vienen los villistas.
So, how's the drunkard? Day off and the boss's wife. That's the way, fella. Say, I had to do your column yesterday. You certainly got some prime cases on your list, such as this. Pink paper and all.
Come on, Goldie, hand it over.
No, sir, you listen. Dear Miss Lonely Hearts, I am no good at writing, so I wonder if I could talk with you. I am only 32 years old, but have had lots of trouble and am married to a cripple. I can't state my case, as I am not good at letters, and besides, it would take an expert to state my case. I know you are a man, and I'm glad, as I don't trust women. You were pointed out to me in Delahanty's, and I feel I know you already. So please call me up on Burgess 77373, as I need your advice bad about my married life and admirer Faye Doyle. Wow, listen, Miss L, you remember you were going to advise one of your cases to commit suicide, and Shrike said your job was to increase circulation? Well, play your cards right with this, Hotsy. You might just be able to do that, okay? So where? Desk or garbage can? Thinking it over, huh? Well, little father, I leave it to you.
Hello?
Hello? Is Mrs. Doyle in?
Who is it?
I want to speak to Mrs. Doyle. Is that Mrs. Doyle?
Yeah, that's me.
This is Miss Lonely Hearts.
Who?
Miss Lonely Hearts, the man who does the column.
Oh,
Oh, hello.
Well, you said I should call.
Oh, yes.
When can I see you?
Now,
Where?
you say.
You know that little park near the obelisk? Half an hour, okay?
I need loving every day. I got to drive my blues away. You got to put your mind on it. You got to put your mind on it.
In the park, on the bench, Miss Lonely Hearts again examined the sky like a detective trying to solve his own exhaustion. Then he saw a big woman walking in his direction. He made a quick catalog. Legs like Indian clubs, breasts like balloons, brow like a pigeon, short plaid skirt, rabbit skin jacket, and tam o' shanter. Despite all of this, she still looked like a police chief.
Miss Lonely Hearts? Hey, you're hurting my arm. Where are we going?
Drink.
Not Dallas. They know me
Oh,
there.
my place then.
What, I?
Oh, please let me have it. I just got to have it. Oh, baby, won't you give it to me, please? Oh, please let me use it. I won't abuse it. I ask you on my bended knee. Why don't you let me have
Here, your highball.
Thanks. Gee, a guy like you must know an awful lot about women, what with your job. Say, there's some fluff on your knee. Oh, Miss Lonely Hearts. Oh, no. Oh, darling. Oh, quick, turn out the light.
Oh, baby, won't you give it to me, please? Oh, baby, won't you give it to me, please?
I am ashamed of myself. Truly ashamed. You think I'm a bad woman?
Not particularly.
My husband isn't much. Like I wrote. A cripple. My kid Lucy isn't even his.
That's terrible.
Yeah, well, it's a long story. A long story. I got into trouble through trusting a dirty dago named Tony Bonelli. And asked Doyle for the money for an abortion. I'd let Doyle take me out once or twice. Even though I was one of the most popular girls on the block.
Oh, yeah?
But Doyle was broke, so instead I married him. Then when Lucy comes along, Doyle, well, he even makes out it's his kid. Our child. Then one day I takes Lucy to see Bonelli, who's doing swell now. The dirty wop says he'd never seen me before. Then Lucy, well, asked me. And I told her. Too many movies, I guess. When Doyle gets back, Lucy says he isn't her papa. Doyle goes for me with his stick. I sock him. We all end up crying on the floor. What do you think?
Mrs. Doyle.
Faye.
I think your husband loves you. The both of you. Very much.
Oh, maybe so. But I was a pretty girl. And could have had my pick.
Oh, you're still pretty.
Oh, Miss L. Come on. Let's get back to business.
Shortly after Faye Doyle left, Miss Lonely Hearts became physically ill. Sleeping and dreaming intermittently for 2 days of pawn shops, phalluses, and flotsam. When he finally awoke, he was very weak, but calm. For he'd begun to see where the letters were coming from. And belief was no longer a problem. Then there was a timid knock on the door.
Hello. Are you all right? I heard you hadn't been at the office. I brought some soup and stuff. What is it?
It's called doylophobia. Very rare. About the other
Never
day,
mind
Betty.
about that. Here, sit up. I'll feed you some of this. It's the job, isn't it? Made you ill? Can't you give it up?
And do what?
I don't know. Maybe an advertising agency.
Betty, I know where the letters are coming from.
First, though, you need a rest. My aunt has a farm, you know, and I'm sure she'd be willing to
I
loan
know
it
where
to
they're
us for a
coming
short
from,
time.
Betty.
And I know you'd love it. is fresh and clean, and once you were there, you'd find all
Betty.
your troubles were simply city troubles, and...
And she is correct. You are an escapist, my friend, but the soil is not for you.
Betty, wait!
Leave her. Nor shall the blanket over the head avail against the voice of the prophet. You are fed up with the city and its teeming millions. The bus takes too long and the subway is always crowded. So you buy a farm and walk behind your horse's moist behind, and the rhythm of an old work enters your soul, and your step becomes the heavy sexual one of the dance-drunk Indian. My friend, is this for you? No! And you are right! Then let us now consider the South Seas. You live in a thatched hut with the daughter of a king. Her breasts are golden speckled pears, her belly a melon, and her odor that of jungle fern. And when the beautiful society girl creeps into your hut to learn the secret of your happiness, you send her back to her yacht that hangs on the horizon like a nervous racehorse. No, of course not. The South Seas are played out. So, hedonism, golf as well as booze, pictures by Matisse, Proust, and a banana by the fire. But then the day comes. Your doctors shake their heads. You decide on one last party. You summon all your friends. You sit in a black plastic coffin carved by Eric Gill and explain your philosophy. Life, you say, is a club where they only deal you one hand, and you must sit in. So, even if the cards are marked, play up like a gentleman and a sport. Get tanked, raid the buffet, use the girl upstairs, but don't squark. Never squark! I won't even ask you what you think of that. Which brings us again to our old favorite, artisan. Bach, Brahms, tell them that's where your heart is. Tell them to keep their society whores and pressed duck with oranges. Yours is a spiritual food. Tell them you know your shoes are broke. Tell them you have pimples on your face, even buck teeth, but that you don't care. For tomorrow, they are playing Beethoven's last quartet at Carnegie Hall, while at home you have all Shakespeare's plays in one volume. After which I'll bypass suicide and drugs as beneath your notice and come to the goal of my lecture. For we, you and I, know God is our only escape. The first Church of Christ Dentist, worshipped as the preventer of decay, to whom I will now dictate a letter for you. Dear Miss Lonely Hearts of Miss Lonely Hearts, I am in the newspaper game and 26 years old. Life for me at present is a desert. I cannot find comfort in food, drink, or women. The leopard of discontent walks my city, while the lion of discouragement crouches without its walls. Is it true? The greatest scientists believe in you again? Thanking you for your quick reply. Yours truly, a subscriber!
Shortly after this, Miss Lonely Hearts agreed to go to the farm.
I don't understand Shrike. Often he just seems to want to drag you down with him, and the rest. Or fire you. Then he gives you sick leave with pay.
He won't fire me. I'm his butt. He's a fool. Betty, they're coming from Christ.
Remember the zoo? Before we set off? How looking at the buffalo seemed to calm you?
Through his agents, I know they
Connecticut sure is lovely. There, look. Oh, the pond I fell into as a little girl. And the house. Few more yards. Here we are. Will you unload while I open up?
That was fine, Betty. You make a good wife.
Let's go and look at the pond before it gets dark. Come on. Down through the trees. Here, give me your hand. Oh, isn't it wonderful? No cars, no voices, no human smells. Stop.
What?
Look. A deer and fawn coming to drink. Let me... Oh, damn.
I'll have to wait till tomorrow now. Let's have one last cigarette.
Damn! Ow, my fingers.
Never mind. Your nerves won't take long to settle.
And then Shrike again. But I'm prepared this time. This time I intend to take a leaf out of Christ's book. This time I intend to have humility.
Let's go back now. We haven't much longer. I'm beginning to feel the cold.
Several days later, they drove back to the city. When they reached the Bronx slums, Miss Lonely Hearts knew that Betty had failed to cure him, and that he had been right when he said that he could never forget the letters. He felt better knowing this, because he'd begun to think himself a faker and a fool. The next day, bearing his humility in front of him like a processional cross, he went into the office. Fortunately, Shrike was not in, so he was spared an immediate test. He sat and looked at the letters. Finally, as an animal in a trap tears at its foot in order to hurt the pain, he began to open them. After a dozen, and one about a lodger and a housebound widow's young son, he felt sick and had to stop. Goldsmith wandered across.
Hi, stranger. See, there were plenty of thick ones waiting for you. Those bums must know you're back.
Yes, of course. Yes, I see that.
Jeez. Say, listen, Miss L, that country touch, what Shrike called your rural anima, any skirt up there?
At Goldsmith, on the way to the office this morning, I saw a man who looked on the verge of death drag himself into a movie theater to see a picture called Blonde Beauty, while a woman with an enormous goiter picked up a love story from a trash can and seemed excited beyond measure by her find.
Miss L, you finally got the rats?
No, Goldsmith, I've got humility. Christ has finally brought me to humility.
And Goldsmith is going to bring you to Delahanty's. Come on, grab your hat.
Everybody's selling it. Yeah. Everybody's buying it. Yes, you can't get enough of that stuff.
'Tis he, 'tis the Savior.
Take it easy, boss. Should have heard him on the way here. He's even giving up that good-looking broad of his because all is vanity. He's sick, boss.
I must differ with you, Goldsmith. It is we who are sick. Those who have faith are well.
Tell us, brother, how you first came to believe. Music in church?
The death of a loved one. Some wise old priest may happen. No, of course not. It was the letters, wasn't it, my son?
Pardon me, Miss Lonely Hearts. There's a man named Doyle here wants to meet you. Says you know his wife. Pete Doyle.
Let me shake your hand, sir. And yours. And yours, sir.
I'm with you, buddy.
A drink, gentlemen. Delahanty, please. These friends of mine.
Very kind of you, Mr. Doyle. Very generous. This is Mr. Shrike and Mr. Goldsmith.
Call me Pete.
3 whiskey. Mr. Doyle inspects meters for the gas company.
Ah, the benefit of a different viewpoint. We newsmen are so limited.
Sure. You know what people say, Mr. Shrike?
No, my good man, what do people say?
We gasmen now take the place of the icemen in the old stories. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, only too well. Come, Goldsmith, this is no place for us.
Your friend is a nut, I think. Anyway, the wife said to ask you back to eat. Lucy, our kid, is away for a couple of days. Is that okay?
Of course, Pete. Look, you must be tired. How about we sit in the back room?
Yeah, well, I am. The job and that. I'll go first. Right, Miss Ella. Now, you follow me.
Mr. Gas Man, please don't turn my gas off today.
Leading the way to the back room, the cripple used a cane and dragged one foot in a box-shaped shoe. His motions like those of a partially destroyed insect. They found a table and faced each other. Doyle had eyes that failed to balance, a mouth not under his nose, and a chin like a small forehead. Overall, he looked like a composite picture used by film magazines and guessing contests. They stared eye to eye until the strain of wordless communication began to excite them both. Then Doyle labored into speech, a jumble of unintelligible retorts that he had meant to make in the past whenever he'd been insulted. The private curses experience had taught him to swallow. Miss Lonelyhearts turned his face slightly to one side like a priest hearing confession. Then, from his pocket, Doyle took a letter addressed to the newspaper. A letter asking for help. A letter he had never managed to send. Eventually, they held hands under the table. Then they left, both very drunk and very busy. Doyle with the wrongs he had suffered, Miss Lonelyhearts with the triumphant thing his belief and humility had become. They took a cab which dropped them at Doyle's apartment.
I can't help it, woman. Gas man got no jelly roll.
Why, you... Oh, Miss L, come in, please.
Never mind that. Where's the chow?
You drunken bum! And now you, Miss L, here, let me help you. Right, you two, wash your hands and then we'll begin. And here's a quart of red to start us off. So, how was it? Not too burnt?
Just fine.
That good, I'm a bit sleepy.
Oh, a couple of highballs soon fix that. Geez, what bony thighs you got.
Leave the guy alone, will you? Get off it.
What the hell are you talking about?
I don't mind the winks and stuff, but feeling them up, Jesus, ain't I the real pimp and all, even bringing them home for
Why, you dirty creep. Anyway, let's have another. Oh, hell, we're out. As if I didn't know. Hey, you, Doyle. Go get some more gin.
No.
I said go get some more, you bum. You hear me?
And I say no.
Pete, Fame, Mrs. Doyle, please don't fight. He loves you. That's why he acts like that. Pete, give me your hand again.
Hey, what goes with
now,
you
you
two?
have a big, strong body, Mrs. Doyle. Have you thought that by holding your husband in your arms, you can warm him and give him life? Can take the chill out of his bones, which you can do by letting him conquer you in bed. And he will repay you by flowering and becoming ardent.
For Christ's sake, what is this crap?
Exactly. It is Christ, the forbidden love fruit. And just as man was lost through eating the forbidden fruit, so shall he be saved again by the eating of the fruit of Christ. Pete, go to your wife, embrace her, tell her of your love.
Yeah, sure. Faye, I love you. I love you. You hear that?
Yeah, sure, you old goat. All right, you nut. I forgive you. You still got to go to the drugstore to get some more gin.
Yeah. Right.
You bastard can't even cross the room without he dismantles half the furniture. Wow. That speech, Miss Ellen, with your fly open. I thought I was going to die laughing. Boy, is he jealous. All I have to do is point at some big guy like yourself and say, gee, I'd love to have him love me up. Drives Doyle nuts. So, how about some music, huh? Maybe a dance?
Faye, I'm tired.
Oh, come on, let's smooch.
Faye, I really am tired.
Oh, well, let's rest up a bit. Give me your knee again. And a little kiss for Mama. That's better. Come on, Miss L. Say, what's up with you? Rather have my husband, that it? Then maybe the little boy wants his mama, huh? Okay. Come and put his head on Mama's chest. Come on, Miss L. Kiss them.
No! No! Whore! Whore of Babylon!
No!
Bitch! Whore! Bitch on heat!
No, you're out! Oh, you're hurting! No,
bitch!
Please, no!
Bitch!
No.
Bitch!
Miss Lonely Hearts took to his bed yet again, knowing he had failed at the Doyles. Instead of imbuing them with the love of Christ, he had merely written a story for his column. At the same time, how calm he had become. Like some ancient rock, smooth, immovable, and indifferent to time. He began to dream again. He was a statue in a station yard holding up a stopped clock as a train pulled in. He was a hunchback sitting in an inn-yard holding a guitar as a coach rumbled in. Then the sound of the train and coach mingled, and he awoke to find it was someone hammering at his door. He climbed out of bed naked as 5 people entered the room, 2 of whom were Shrike and his wife. Miss Lonely Hearts smiled. Shrike could never now be any more than a screaming gull, trying clumsily to lay an egg on the smooth flank of the rock he had now become.
Put your clothes on, my friend. We're going to a party.
Shrike, for 3 days now I've been aware of fireflies and the slop of oceans.
Attaboy!
Eating, too. Lots of crackers.
That is the solitary drinking. My son, there's a game we want to play, and we need you to play it. It's called Every Man His Own Miss Lonely Hearts. Tell you what, if you put your pants on and come quietly, I'll let Mary sit on your knee in the cab.
Here he is, folks!
For God's sake, why are you smiling like that?
Hello, Betty.
I've got to talk to you. What's wrong? Are you sick again?
And now, friends, if you please. Please, ladies and gentlemen, we have with us tonight a man you all know and admire, Miss Lonely Hearts of the singing heart and swollen soul. He is here. He is here not only to help you with your moral and spiritual problems, but also to provide you, if need be, with a raison d'etre. Yeah. Right. Now, some of you, perhaps, consider yourselves too far gone to help, and that when exposed to his bright flame, you will only smolder and give off a bad smell. But be of good heart, for I am sure he will prevail. And now, the game. Right. Mary, my dear, distribute the writing materials, will you? In my hand here are some of the letters that have arrived for the master during his most recent illness. I will hand one to each of you to answer as best you know how, and from your answer the master here will diagnose your moral ills, and afterwards lead you in the way of attainment. So, the first.
We have to stay for this?
An old woman whose son died last week. She's 70 and sells pencils for a living, no stockings, wears boots, torn, bleeding feet, room in her eye. But have you, Goldsmith, room in your heart for her? I see you do. Here you are, my boy. Just put down your drink and cigar. And the next.
Please, while there's still time.
Oh. It's a Jim Dandy. A young boy wants to play the violin. Then we discover he's dictating the letter because he's paralyzed. But wait! He has a toy violin he hugs to his chest as he imitates the sound of playing. Oh, Who's for this? Any tickets? You, madam? Yeah. Hey.
Aren't you interested in what he's doing to you?
Betty, what the waves do has little interest for
It
the
is all
rock.
here. A world peopled with creatures who are strangers to everything but disease and the police. Harried by one, they are hurried by the other. Pain, 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 that only a great spiritual liniment can relieve.
Either you come or I go by myself. Now, please.
Wait. Here's one concerning the Master himself. I see he's leaving, but I, his disciple, will read it for you. Dear, etc., blah, 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 blah. So, what sort of dirty skunk are you? When I got home, Faye was crying on the floor, and the neighbors said you tried to rape her and to get the cops, but I said I'd do it myself, you bastard. You ought to have your... blah, 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 blah. And signed Doyle. Well, so the Master is another Rasputin. Or is this merely one more attempt against him by the evil one? I believe it is, folks. I surely believe it.
It was only after they left Shrike's apartment and began to make their way downstairs to the street that Miss Lonelyhearts noticed Betty had on a light blue party dress and realized she must dress for things such as parties. And even the Rock was touched by this. Then they hit the street.
You sure look swell in your blue dress, Betty. Have a soda with me?
A soda? It's a doctor, you mean.
Or a coffee. In here.
2 strawberry sodas, please. Betty, why are you mad at me? It was all Shrike's idea.
Because you're a fool. And because
I quit the job, you know. I haven't been in the office for a week. I'm going to take your advice. Look for something in advertising.
Well, then you should see Bill Wainwright. A good guy. He's in love with me.
I couldn't work for a rival. Oh, Betty.
Oh, please. Don't you understand anything?
Betty, wait.
Taxi! Taxi!
Here, let me. Just drive around a little, will you? Betty, tell me.
It's a baby. Don't you understand? I'm having a baby.
Why, that's wonderful. A new, fresh life. Marry me, Betty.
Marry you? I'm getting an abortion.
No, you can't do that. Please, Betty, marry me.
You said that like you asked me to have a soda.
We could rehabilitate the farm. A life away from the city draws for our baby. Fields, animals. Remember the deer? Say yes, Betty, please. Please, say yes.
I got diamonds on my hands now. Good shoes on my feet. And I always make it somehow. And I keep my women off the street.
So Miss Lonelyhearts begged the party dress to marry him. And in the end, the party dress agreed. He did not feel guilty. He did not feel. His destiny was close in front of him. It only remained to climb back aboard the bed. He dropped Betty outside her apartment. When the door closed behind her, he smiled. After a long night, and toward noon, Miss Lonelyhearts welcomed the arrival of the fever and its attendant heat and mental violence. He fastened his eyes on the Christ at the bottom of the bed, and then allowed the snake finally to uncoil. And suddenly the room came to life and light and ecstasy. And the life and the light was Christ. And the shout of Christ echoed through the innermost cells of his body. And he felt cleaner and fresher and the great vein that had been starting in his forehead became less swollen, and everything in the room was cleansed. And delight also was in the room. And two rhythms that were gradually becoming one. And they became one. And his identification with God became complete. And God said, "Will you accept it now?" And he replied that he would, and immediately began to plan his future conduct as Miss Lonely Hearts, a future in which he submitted drafts of his column to God, who approved his every thought. Then the doorbell rang. He climbed out of bed and went into the hall. It was Pete Doyle carrying something in a newspaper, making his way slowly up the stairs. And he knew God had sent Doyle as a sign, so that he could perform a miracle and have tangible proof of his own conversion. He would embrace the cripple and make him whole, even as he, a spiritual cripple, had been made whole. Miss Lonely Hearts rushed down the stairs to meet Doyle, his arms spread wide. Doyle put his hand inside his package and shouted a warning, but Miss Lonely Hearts continued his charge. He didn't understand the cripple's shout and simply heard it as a cry for help from desperate Harold S., Catholic mother, broken-hearted, sick of it all. Doyle turned to escape, but was too slow. As they were struggling, Betty came through the street door and called for them to stop. The cripple, seeing his escape cut off, tried to get rid of the package. He pulled his hand out, and the gun went off. Miss Lonely Hearts fell, dragging the cripple with him. They both rolled part of the way down the stairs.
Miss Lonely Hearts, by Nathaniel West, was dramatized for radio by Vincent McInerney. The narrator was played by Nigel Anthony, Miss Lonely Hearts by William Hope, and Shrike by Bill Wallace. Goldsmith was Bradley Lavelle, Betty Catherine Fershpan, Fay by Maggie McCarthy, and Mary was Bonnie Hurren. Jed was Stephen Garlick, Simpson was Nigel Carrington, and Doyle, Ed Bishop.
The Sunday Play. We present Barbara Lee Hunt and Andrew Sachs in My Dearest Angel by R.F. Delderfield, adapted for radio by Cynthia Pugh. My Dearest Angel.
Oh, one small ornament. A girl with lamb dancing.
China shepherdess. What is the mark, please?
The mark? Oh, kind of cross swords here.
It is Meissen. And the next?
Baby holding daisy chains.
A baby. A cherub with floral pattern. And on the table, please?
Musical box. Bit of Swiss nonsense, I reckon.
It is German.
It is? Well, then maybe you'll recognize the tune. Listen, Chilling.
Oh, no, you must not.
Oh, go on, why not? There's nobody around. Listen. You do know it, then?
Yes, I know it. My mother would sing it sometimes. It is a very old tune.
Hello. Hello. Here, take a look out there. That's their luggage arriving, isn't it? And both of them on the spot to check it. Princes, the pair of them, yet they come trotting down to count their baggage. Come and look.
Oh, he is so noble, so beautiful.
Which of them's a favourite?
Please?
I heard there was an outside chance she was going to marry one of them. Which one?
Oh, but how foolish you are. She will marry the taller, the Prince Albert.
Ah, wait, it's not that certain. They were saying in the still room last night it was all a rumour and she won't marry either of them.
Oh, how could she fail to fall in love with him? He is beautiful.
Beautiful? Well, I don't know. He's not bad looking for a foreigner. And there's a lot more to marrying the Queen of England, my girl. I heard his country's about the size of Windsor Park and he didn't have two farthings to rub together. No, take it from me, Shilling. When it comes to marrying, it'll have to be a king.
Then why are we so engaged?
Eh?
This room, this wing. It was here that he stayed when he came here 3 years ago.
He did? How long are they supposed to be staying?
That is not our business. Our instructions were to complete the inventory before dusk.
Oh, you're right there.
Someone is coming. Quick, we must be at our work.
Item. 3 volumes of engravings, bound in calf, metal fastenings.
Your Highness.
Your Highness.
These apartments, they are in your charge?
No, Your Highness. They're the responsibility of the housekeeper while Her Majesty is in residence at Windsor.
So, and when she is in London or on a progress elsewhere?
The responsibility is then divided between the Lord Steward and the Chamberlain, Your Highness.
So, but you were engaged in making an inventory of the chattels, were you not?
With respect, Your Highness, this apartment was not in use until 4 days ago, when Her Majesty returned to Windsor from London.
The checking of the items of furniture is a part of your regular duties?
No, Your Highness.
But this is not done regularly?
It has not been done since I took up my duties at Windsor, Your Highness.
Allow me to look at that list. Thank you. Item 506, the Meissen Shepherdess. Yeah. It is the figurine on the center shelf?
Yes, Your Highness.
You will please hand it to me to inspect. You have it listed as Meissen, but it is not Meissen. It is the work of an inferior Dresden factory. You'd better strike out the word Meissen.
As Your Highness instructs.
You have a fondness for this kind of music, Fräulein?
It is an air from my homeland, Your Highness.
You've been home to Germany since you took service with Her Majesty in England?
No, Your Highness.
You are homesick for Bavaria. It is Bavaria, is it not?
Wasserburg, Your Highness.
Wasserburg. I know Wasserburg. It is beautiful at all times of the year. But perhaps you are happy to live in England?
Yes, indeed, Your Highness. I am proud of my position here, Your Highness.
I was in Germany only 3 days ago, but already I am homesick. This organ. It is a fine instrument. You will continue making the inventory. It is very necessary that periodical checks should be made in every household.
Who's that?
The Baroness Lehzen, I think, and Lord Melbourne.
We could call it the case of the disappearing prince. Or Hunt the suitor.
The Lord Steward is grossly at fault in this instance.
Who is His Highness, madam?
Well. You too. You may go.
Very good, madam.
Very good, madam. This instrument is much in need of attention. My Lord Melbourne.
Your Highness.
It would not appear to have been played since my visit to Windsor more than 3 years ago.
Accept our deepest apologies for our apparent incivility, Your Highness. The organ is not the only fault in our system here. To be frank, Your Highness, we mislaid you.
The equerry announced your arrival, Your Highness, and we at once assembled at the sovereign's entrance. The Lord Chamberlain had strict instructions to receive you and conduct your entire party to your suite.
The Lord Chamberlain was not at fault, Baroness.
Then the Lord Steward?
My brother Ernst and our attendants were conducted to our quarters punctiliously on arrival. It was I who turned aside and made my own way here. It was the part of Windsor Castle I remembered with affection, particularly the organ. You see, Lord Melbourne, Her Majesty the Queen graciously allowed me to play the instrument at my leisure. I was not informed that she has since withdrawn her permission.
I am quite sure that Her Majesty will extend the courtesy during your present visit. I believe you've met the Baroness Lehzen, former governess, now private secretary to Her Majesty.
Your Highness.
And may I present my own private secretary, Mr. George Anson.
Your Highness.
To be truthful, Her Majesty was not expecting you to arrive until after darkness. But since there is a bright fire here, and since Your Highness records this apartment with pleasure, why not make yourself comfortable here for a spell? Mr. Anson, ask the steward to notify His Highness Prince Ernst, and tell him that our visitors will take their refreshment in here.
No refreshment, my lord.
No refreshment?
I'm the worst sailor in the world, Lord Melbourne. Tomorrow my appetite will return, but today I beg you, no dinner, no supper, until I've made my peace with the English Channel.
The crossing was as bad as that?
Oh, it was worse, my lord.
I know the Channel at this season. I'm just such a sailor myself. Baroness, oblige me by presenting my compliments to Her Majesty, and tell her that I am with His Highness in the southeast wing, that His Highness has no appetite but prefers to play the organ. Inform her that I will attend upon His Highness personally in the meantime.
Your Highness. My lord.
Anson?
My lord?
Find a housekeeper. And bid her send a servant with a carafe of seltzer water and a touch of lemon, and quick about it. There's a good fellow.
At once, my lord.
Now, sir, come and warm yourself. The Channel and the Dover packet is safely behind you.
You're very kind, my Lord Melbourne.
It is 3 years since you were here, I believe.
3 years in recorded time.
Yeah.
Much longer in experience. My own, but far more so on Her Majesty's part.
Oh, come now, that's not so long at your age.
'Tis long enough to destroy the fabric of dreams.
You are under the impression Her Majesty does not welcome your visit?
Why should she? It was not Her Majesty who proposed it.
Oh, come, Your Highness. I am aware, of course, that it was arranged a long time ago.
By the parties of the state. By my uncle Leopold and by my father. By those who've set their hearts upon this marriage since we were children. But let us not pretend that circumstances have not changed very dramatically since the proposal was first made, my lord. Or that Her Majesty's inclinations have not changed with those circumstances. When I was last here, each of us had a foreseeable destiny. But her destiny is now a fact, is it not?
And it is to determine your own that you challenge the Channel a second time.
How long is a man justified in awaiting his destiny, Lord Melbourne? Coburg is a petty dukedom. It could be swallowed up in one of Her Majesty's counties. Yet in Coburg, we still have pride. But does it seem unreasonable, even to the Prime Minister of a realm as powerful as Britain, that I should seek a decision, and that within days?
The service of water, my lord.
Thank you, Shilling. Put the tray there. I will serve His Highness.
Very good, my lord.
Now, a reinforcement to the distressed garrison, Your Highness. Seltzer, a touch of lemon. There. That should restore you.
Thank you. You are most kind.
Not at all, Your Highness. We all of us have our problems. No doubt you've heard how graciously this young, inexperienced sovereign has accepted the cares and responsibilities to which he was called at the age of 18 years. And happily those reports are true. She is gracious. She is also warm-hearted, gay, and eager at all times to do what she considers the correct thing by her ministers and people. She is truthful, firm in her decisions, yet willing to listen to the voice of experience. And she has made a very great impression here upon diplomats and ambassadors, upon her ministers and household. All these things are in her favor, yet none of us must overlook the factor that overrides them all.
And what is that?
She is a woman, with a woman's heart, and a woman's emotional instability. For myself, I've always found it impossible to coerce any woman into making the most trivial decision. How much more formidable, then, is the task of urging upon a queen the necessity of making the most difficult decision of her life.
You're trying to tell me that my cousin is still undecided as regards the suitability of the match?
No, sir. I am trying to tell you that Her Majesty is in a state of hopeless indecision as regards the subject of marriage to anyone. Yourself not excepted.
In other words, my royal cousin has made up her mind not to marry at all.
That was certainly my impression I got by last audience. But that was, let me see, at least 4 hours ago.
4 hours, you say?
Shortly after midday.
Oh, then it is manifestly clear that she has no intention.
Your Highness, it is very far from clear. May I give you further advice? Informal advice, but as someone who wishes you well.
I should esteem any such advice, my lord.
Go to your suite at once. Change into your newest and most spectacular uniform and return to this apartment unescorted in 15 minutes.
You're serious in this proposal, sir?
I'm very much in earnest, Your Highness.
Very well, my lord. It shall be as you wish. I am so far committed that even such a step as this can scarcely matter. My lord?
Bates. Conduct His Highness to his suite at once.
Thank you, Lord Melbourne.
Oh, Lord Melbourne.
Yes?
Lord please. Please do not go, Lord Melbourne. Her Majesty has expressed a wish that you remain here and see her at once. Her Majesty declares that...
You may go. Kindly ensure that we are not disturbed. I wish to speak to the Prime Minister alone.
You understand? Alone.
Your Majesty, my duty compels me to point out that in no circumstances should you incline towards a hasty decision. There are certain factors...
Listen, I command you to withdraw. We are to remain undisturbed until we have said everything that has to be said.
As you wish, Your Majesty.
You were here alone with him? He has returned to his suite.
With respect, madam, you were very well aware of that before you made up your mind to enter. I earnestly hope you were not listening at the keyhole.
There is no keyhole. Had there been one, I confess I should have been tempted to use it. Why did he come here, to this room, and almost as soon as he set foot in Windsor?
I suspect that you are also aware of the answer to that question, Your Majesty.
Yes, I believe I am. Could we talk as we talked when we began together, Lord Melbourne? I am much in need of someone in whom I can truly confide.
I am at your service, Your Majesty, as always. Now and to the end of my days.
So much has happened since Albert and Ernst and I were together in this room. Since we sat there and played the organ, and afterwards sat at that table and looked at engravings together. It was then that they told me all about their lives in their beloved Rosenau. And that was why he found his way to this room at once, you know. I fear that his doing that has made things much more difficult than they need have been.
And how is that?
It has revealed how deeply he feels about
the arrangement?
Yes, the arrangement. But I had no hand in that. I never made a single decision about anything. Until that wonderful morning. The morning they woke me up at Kensington and told me I was queen. And I dressed and came down. And you were there to make it all so pleasant and so easy. You must tell me, Lord Melbourne. You must help me to find the right words, the right formula. I gave no promise to Albert. It was others who half-promised on my behalf. Now, that is the plain truth, is it not?
Yes, I suppose that is the truth as most reasonable people would see it.
And he is reasonable. He would understand, wouldn't he? He will be able to see how different things are now that I am queen. Now that I am making my own decisions every day.
Why do you find this particular decision so painful, then?
Because I cannot bear to hurt him. To send him away as the prince who came to England to give his heart to a queen who looked at it and then handed it back to him. Could it not be pointed out, impartially and objectively, that there was no general wish on the part of either government or people for the queen to marry at this stage? And that with a sovereign as young as 20 years, there is no immediacy as regards an heir.
All that is true, ma'am. But perhaps not the crux of the matter.
Then tell me what it is. You are not only my Prime Minister, you are my truest friend. And I am very much in need of guidance and reassurance in this matter.
I fear there is only one source of guidance in a matter such as this.
The welfare of the realm.
No, ma'am. The dictates of the heart.
This is your final and considered opinion?
It is indeed, ma'am.
Then you have very much simplified the situation, Lord Melbourne.
I have?
Why, yes. If I can set aside the obligations of my rank and act as my heart urges me to act, I fancy I shall get through this business with very little trouble to anyone.
That is most encouraging news, ma'am. Will you pay me the compliment of rehearsing the ultimatum you propose to give him?
I shall tell him that, in spite of the persistence of our Uncle Leopold and others in the matter of a match between us, I cannot persist in it without the impetus of a deep and abiding love for the man I am to marry. And the fact is, Lord Melbourne, such impetus as there was has long since spent itself. I am not only heart-free, but eager to remain so.
Indefinitely, ma'am?
For at least 3 or 4 years, until my affections are fixed elsewhere, or reasons of state urge me upon a different kind of marriage, perhaps even a loveless one.
You will tell the prince that in so many words?
In an audience I intend to grant him after supper tonight. I think I shall begin by reminding him that any encouragement he derived from his visit here 3 years ago was due to immaturity on my part. That I was a young, impressionable girl with... Who is there? I gave Leighton the strictest instructions we should remain undisturbed.
His Highness Prince Francis Charles Augustus Albert Emmanuel of Saxe-Coburg-Gotha.
Albert. Oh, Albert.
Your most gracious Majesty.
Allow me to kiss your hand.
A little more to the right, Schilling. Yes, that will do, I think. Personally, I prefer the original picture, but Her Majesty gave implicit instructions that the landscape was to occupy a prominent position in the room.
What is Schilling doing on that step ladder?
She is complying with Her Majesty's instructions, Baroness. You may come down now, Schilling.
Her Majesty's instructions?
Regarding the disposition of furnishings in this suite. Her Majesty instructed me to superintend the changes personally. There they are in writing.
Oh, I see. You may leave us, Schilling.
Very good, madam.
The Queen's artistic taste would appear to be suffering a severe relapse. Where did this amateurish daub come from?
I am told it is a painting of Rosenau, the former home of the Duchess of Kent.
In other words, His Highness Prince Albert's home.
That would seem to be the reason it was specifically selected.
I see. You had conversation with Her Majesty before she went riding before breakfast?
Yes, Baroness. I was with her for a few moments before the grooms brought the horses round.
She paid you the compliment of confiding her immediate intentions?
She had no occasion to. I have eyes in my head.
So?
She is head over heels in love with the prince.
Pah! A young woman of her position, barely 20 years of age. What does she know of love? And what do any of us know of this young man? We respect his lineage. We are told that he devotes himself to ornithology and similar time-wasting pursuits. But for a destiny such as that...
Oh, my dear Baroness, Her Majesty is not much concerned with his vice-regal qualifications. She is in love with a pair of blue eyes, a pair of broad shoulders, and a handsome set of whiskers. At 20, what woman looks further?
But you have no proof of this? He is amiable and personable. She likes to dance, to ride, even to flirt, perhaps. But she is anchored to something a great deal more impressive. All her life I have been at pains to make her aware of this.
Perhaps you had occasion to instruct her in the works of Shakespeare. The Tempest, possibly.
What has the Queen's infatuation with a German princeling to do with the Tempest?
No more than Miranda had to do with Ferdinand before she set eyes on him. I might call him a thing divine, for nothing natural I ever saw so noble.
It goes on as my soul prompts it. Spirit, fine spirit, I will free thee within 2 days for this.
Oh, my lord, I was joking. It was foolish talk.
Spare your blushes, Lady Littleton. Every lady in the court is speculating. And as for the men, I've told all the Windsor grooms are laying odds on the match.
I do not think it becomes any of us to joke about such a subject, Lord Melbourne. We had better leave, Lady Littleton.
Not immediately, Baroness. My audience is for 12 midday, and it is now but 2 minutes past. The punctuality of princes is, after all, a fable.
A private audience with Her Majesty?
My dear Baroness, there is nothing sinister in a monarch and a prime minister conferring in private.
But you have been granted 3 private audiences in 5 days. It has encouraged a flood of gossip.
Gossip? That is a very trivial word. Let us call it wholesome speculation.
Her Majesty the Queen.
I shall not wait to be dismissed like a child sent to bed. Precede me, Lady Littleton. I find this situation intolerable, my lord, and I intend to bring it to Her Majesty's notice at the first opportunity.
Her Majesty the Queen.
Your Majesty.
I am unpunctual again, dear Lord Melbourne.
On the contrary, ma'am, I myself was somewhat delayed, and a moment ago you would have been entitled to say, I have only just escaped being kept waiting.
Oh, Lord Melbourne, how I envy you. You are never, never lost for words.
It is a common failing with politicians, ma'am.
No, I mean it. Truly mean it. You were surprised when I sent for you yet again?
No, ma'am. I must admit that I was not in the least surprised.
I did consider consulting others. Mamma, dear Letson, and I even began a letter to Uncle Leopold, but to tell the truth...
Ma'am?
This was a moment in my life that I did not wish to share with anyone but you.
Ma'am.
What is it? Have I said something clumsy again? Have I displeased you?
No, ma'am. No, indeed not. Rather something to make me as proud as a peacock.
Well, then, the fact is, I have a good deal changed my opinion as to the possibility of marriage.
I am delighted to hear it, Your Majesty.
But you don't seem surprised. You are surprised, are you not?
As a subject, yes, ma'am. As Prime Minister, I'm not permitted to register surprise.
There is, however, a number of issues about which I should hear your views at once. I should require Parliament to grant my husband £50,000 a year.
Forgive me, Your Majesty, but ought we not to consider the husband before we discuss the settlement?
Lord Melbourne, pray let us understand one another. During the last year, you have repeatedly assured me that Parliament is extremely anxious that I should marry as soon as possible.
That is so, ma'am.
And that anxiety stems from the necessity of an heir?
Quite so, ma'am.
Very well, then. You may take it that we are willing to resolve the situation by marrying Prince Albert of Saxe-Coburg with the least possible delay.
It is accomplished already, then?
Accomplished?
I assume that you broached the matter with His Highness.
Broached it?
Mm-hmm.
My dear Lord Melbourne, I have not even hinted at it. You are first to know, the very first.
You have said nothing to the Prince as yet.
Nothing whatever.
Then, ma'am, and again with respect, do you not feel it to be this excellent young man's due to be acquainted with your decision at once?
Why, naturally. And now that I have told you, we can address ourselves to the task of composing the letter.
The letter?
A formal proposal that will set all his anxieties at rest.
This is how you propose to acquaint him of your decision?
How else? Are you telling me it would be improper to commit my acceptance of Prince Albert's suit to paper?
In Your Majesty's case, it would be quite proper. Nevertheless, it would be altogether wrong.
But why?
Because, if I'm not mistaken, Your Majesty, this is no mere alliance. Perhaps it began as one, but please God, it has since burgeoned into something a great deal healthier. To be frank, ma'am, you have lost your heart to this young man. So why should you be afraid to admit it to a subject who, more than any other person in the realm, rejoices in the fact?
Oh.
Forgive me, ma'am. Perhaps I presume. I have advised you on many matters, great and small, but it may be that I am not a fit person to advise you on something as delicate as this. Your mamma, the Duchess, perhaps, or the Baroness Leighton.
I have not yet dismissed you, Lord Melbourne.
Your pleasure, ma'am.
All you say is quite true, Lord Melbourne. I have indeed lost my heart to Albert. But is it unnatural of me that I should want to hide the fact from you of all people? The truth is, I am ashamed.
Ashamed, ma'am?
Ashamed of the weeks and months of temporization, all the half-truths in my letters to my Uncle Leopold, all the excuses made to you whenever the subject of marriage was raised.
You can make light of them now, Your Majesty.
I am not joking, my lord. I ask for nothing more than to share my life with Albert. I am very deeply in love with him. And this has opened my eyes to the faults in my own character, faults I never would acknowledge before. Now I can see that it would be cowardly to hide behind a form of proposal such as I intended. Will you do me one more service?
Your Majesty.
Send Albert to me yourself, without fuss. Let him come here to this suite, where we were once happy and where I so dismally failed to discover what manner of man he was. Will you do that? And ensure that we have a few minutes quite alone?
With all my heart. And a prayer for the kind of happiness you deserve.
Oh, dear God. Grant me the wisdom to say the right thing to him. This is surely the most difficult moment of my life. Oh, and yet how foolish I am. I am not going to the scaffold. I am awaiting my dear, dear love. Oh. That little tune. How charming it is. One of his favorites. You may come in, Albert. I'm quite alone.
Your servant, cousin.
You think it indiscreet of me to receive you without a chaperone?
You can do whatever you choose, cousin. You are a queen.
That is so, yes. I could have ridden ahead of the equerries this morning and asked you to follow. I did think of that, and I wish now that I had done so. It would have been easier.
Easier?
To say what I have to say, Albert.
There's no reason why it should be painful for you, cousin. There's no need to say it at all.
Yes, Albert, indeed there is. I could have written it, but Lord Melbourne made me see that to do so would have been cowardly. It would help, I think, if you were to call me by my name. I have always called you by yours. It seemed natural, since I always thought of you as Albert. And I did think of you very affectionately after that first visit of yours. I recall now that I thought of you every day.
It is kind of you to say so, Victoria. But I fear it is not strictly true. You've had so many more important things to think about in the last 2 years.
They do not seem very important to me now, Albert.
I do not think there can be anything more important to the Queen of England than her responsibilities as sovereign.
Oh, but I assure you there is. If that monarch is a woman, a girl, that is why we are here together at this moment. Alone, Albert.
You have something to say to me? Something particular? I had concluded by now...
Would you have the goodness, Albert, to look beyond me, to look anywhere but straight at me, the way you are doing?
Forgive me. I will look out of the window. There. Is that better?
No, it is not. I thought it might be, but it is not. I cannot see the kindness in your eyes. Albert, you must be aware of the reason I sent for you. You cannot believe I summoned you only to send you away. Albert, dear Albert, it would make me too happy if you would consent to marry me.
Oh, Victoria, beloved, liebes Frauchen, gutes Weibchen, it has happened.
My dear Albert.
Oh, this is no occasion for tears.
Yes, it is of joy and of relief.
Relief?
Why not? Suppose you had rejected me out of hand.
Oh, is there a man who would dare? You could have sent me to the Tower of London, could you not?
Oh, but it is such a relief. You see, I knew you were angry. You never showed it, but I knew you were angry inside. And the moment before you came in just now, I was so afraid of what your pride might make you do for being kept without knowing, when everyone at court knew why you were here.
Oh, it is nothing. For you, a man must be prepared to wait. And now you must yourself wait a little, that I may accustom myself to the reality of all I see in your eyes and hear from your lips. But I shall succeed. That I do promise you, beloved. I shall succeed in making you as happy as you deserve to be. In body and soul, I shall be your slave. Loyal, true, treu und fest.
This I know. I think I have always known. You are so tall, Albert, and I so little. But wait, there is a hassock. There. So. Now I am as tall as you.
Das Auge sieht Himmel offen. Es schwelgt das Herz in Seligkeit.
What is that you say?
It's by the poet Schiller. And translated, heaven opens on the ravished eye. The heart is all entranced with bliss. I think Schiller must have known a moment such as this.
Enter. Your Highness is chocolate.
Ah, His Highness Prince Ernst has taken his
apartment, Your Highness. He instructed me to say that he would join Your Highness immediately.
Fräulein.
Your Highness?
This watercolor. It was not here when I found you making the inventory in October?
No, Your Highness. It was one of the items Her Majesty ordered to be placed here immediately after the inventory was checked.
Her Majesty ordered this to be hung here?
Yes, Your Highness. At the time, the organ was curtained. Several additions were made at the time. Would that be all, Your Highness?
You recognize this landscape, Schilling?
No, Your Highness.
It is a painting of my birthplace, Rosenau. A very bad painting, I fear. It does less than justice to Rosenau.
I am sorry, Your Highness.
You're not required to apologize, Schilling. It was not you that painted it, I trust. Touch the spring of the musical box. You may remain and listen to it. Oh, Ernst, come in.
The band of the Grenadier Guards have assembled to play me out.
But I know this tune. So you should, Ernst. You heard it often enough when we were visiting here, boys. I recall that both you and Her Majesty preferred it to any music I was able to coax from that bellows over there.
No, but before that... surely it is one of our folk songs?
Yes, it is. It is always the simplest melodies that go straight to the heart. Most of the greater works don't get that far. They remain in the head. Fräulein Schilling, here is a present for you.
Oh, no, I dare not, Your Highness.
Take it, and I myself will undertake to delete it from the inventory. But I advise you only play it in solitude. Then it will remind you of home, and pleasantly so.
Your Highness is too kind. Too kind.
You may leave us now.
Very good, Your Highness. Thank you, Your Highness.
She is German.
From Wasserburg.
Ah, Wasserburg. We are all three a long way from home, Albert.
Yes, too far. But she's not to be pitied. She's had more than 3 years to get used to it.
It will not take you so long, Albert. 6 months and you will have all but forgotten us.
Do you believe that of me, Ernst?
Oh, come, I was joking. Of course you will never forget us. But you have a splendid future here. More splendid than either you or I would have thought possible when we birds nested in the woods and covered the home. That time could not last forever, Albert. We had to grow up, take our ways. I shall miss you as much as you miss me, and more.
As much, Ernst, but not more. You will still have Rosenau. You recognize this picture?
Oh, with some difficulty. How did it come here?
Victoria put it here. It was her way of trying to cure my homesickness.
So, it was a generous impulse, Albert.
She's full of generous impulses. Only since we are married am I learning to appreciate them.
You must forget about home, Albert. You cannot look back now. You are no longer a German.
I will always be German.
You can only succeed here if you learn to become an Englishman. Oh, that will be difficult, I know. And your old tutor, Baron Stockmar, knows it too, although he would never admit as much. But you will achieve it, Albert. I know that. And when it is a reality, you will come into your full inheritance as the arbiter of a great nation's policy.
How little you know of the British. You or Stockmar. Listen. That's the voice of the British. Strident, arrogant, terrifyingly self-assured, you understand? Oh, there's no room in it for culture or self-improvement. It says, it roars, we are God's chosen. You are either with us or behind us. Not against us, because nothing opposes us and lives. This we proved by our handling of Bonaparte.
You are not only with them, Albert. You are at their head.
No, Ernst, my dear fellow. I'm perched on the tail of the lion. And it has only to whisk that tail to send me flying.
The tail is not lively enough to dislodge you, Albert. Now, no matter how much self-doubt you have now, the time will come when you will be leading that lion, and I shall be there to see it.
Come in, Baron Stockmar.
Your Highness. Your party is ready to leave now, Prince Ernst.
Thank you, Stockmar. Well, God bless you, Albert.
And you, Ernst.
Indeed?
That does not shock you?
No, my prince. It does not even surprise me overmuch.
Not?
You must cease to regard this trivial circumstance as a personal betrayal on your part.
But Her Majesty came to me expecting to be loved as a person, a woman. When I realized that I was incapable of rendering more than mere affection...
Did you anticipate that it would be otherwise?
Oh, with all my heart I did. I prayed that it might be so. Can I not make you understand how wretched this failure makes me? It is gross disloyal to admit it, even to you.
Nevertheless, it is important that you should discuss it with someone. Is this a physical matter?
No. If it were so, I could accept it unquestioningly. There's nothing amiss with our physical relationship. But surely there should be a degree of intellectual compatibility between man and wife.
Bless you, my prince. Do you suppose that either your royal uncle or myself had any great expectations of Her Majesty's intellectual attainments? But now that your destiny is accomplished, is this so important?
It is important to me, Baron. How is it possible to attain personal happiness under this handicap?
I do not remember that I ever promised you happiness, Your Highness. Satisfaction, yes. Providing that you put your duty before everything. And how should that be difficult after my years of training and seeing who you are?
Who am I, Baron? Tell me.
You are the man with whom the Queen of England is desperately in love, Your Highness. That being so, Her Majesty being a healthy and very impressionable young woman, it should not take you very long to find the correct formula for both felicity and power.
You imply that I should use my physical ascendancy as a key to power?
Why not?
Is that honorable?
It is your right.
Perhaps. Yet it seems to me to be a shabby backstairs way to begin a marriage.
You must cease to regard this marriage as a bourgeois partnership. It was never meant to be. And it can never become so.
Yet it should become so. You have taught me so many things, Baron Stockmar. But this is something I would have preferred not to learn. Let us pursue it no further. Let us shake hands before one of us says something to sour what has been, for me at least, the most rewarding relationship of my life.
Oh, no. You cannot be rid of me as easily as that, Your Highness. The time will come when I can no longer be of service to you. But that time is not yet, I think.
Ever since I was a child, you and my Uncle Leopold behind you determined that I should set out to look for the Holy Grail. Now that I'm started on my quest, do you not owe me more explicit directions? What am I seeking? And if I find it, what shall I do with it?
Only your own conscience can answer those questions, my prince.
Does not seem to me a question of conscience, Baron. We are faced with practical issues, and I must contend with them until the end of my life. How does a young man, armed with nothing but a little book learning, achieve anything in a strange land, among strangers, and with a wife who mistakes the shadow of regal authority for its substance?
Through the acquisition of power.
But I have no power.
I have shown you the means of acquiring it.
For whom do you ring?
For the present source of that power. For the Baroness Litzen.
Litzen? You rang, Your Highness?
Inform the Baroness Litzen that His Highness will receive Mr. Anson at once.
Very good, my lord. Litzen? Anson? But Anson is the private secretary of Lord Melbourne. I had the greatest difficulty in persuading Her Majesty not to appoint him to that position in my household.
Your Highness must be prepared to yield in this particular.
Appoint Anson as my private secretary? That would be to identify myself for all time with Lord Melbourne's party.
I assure Your Highness that I know what I am about. You will never regret this choice.
Sir?
Mr. Anson, permit me to wish you happiness and success in your enviable appointment to the household of His Highness.
Thank you, sir. No effort will be lacking on my part to render His Highness devoted service.
Then I shall leave you to get acquainted and complete my arrangements to dispatch my heavy luggage by the Dover stage. I will show myself out. There is much to be done and little time to spare.
You're qualified to begin your duties at once, Mr. Anson?
Yes, Your Highness. Her Majesty informed me that Your Highness had expressed an interest in some projected landscape developments on the south aspect of the great park. I took the liberty of consulting the forestry department yesterday and obtaining these estimates together with a provisional plan. Perhaps Your Highness would care to inspect them at leisure here, and later allow me to present you to the architect concerned.
I should like that very much, Mr. Anson.
I'll spread the plan on the table. So, Your Highness would care to inspect the provisional drawings?
Sure. It would appear to be a most ambitious project.
It is indeed, Your Highness.
You have a preference for outdoor life, Mr. Anson?
Whenever my duties permit, Your Highness. With my Lord Melbourne, I spent a very great deal of time in London. That was, of course, unavoidable, as the sittings in the House of Parliament often continue into the small hours.
And very tedious work, no doubt?
Sometimes almost unbearably so, Your Highness.
Doubtless you sat through the debate relating to the Prince Consort's marriage allowance?
I did indeed, Your Highness.
Have no fear, Anson. I shall not ask you to comment. Ours will be a non-political relationship, I assure you. Indeed, that must be obvious to you already.
With respect, Your Highness, there are a great many matters relating to the royal establishment that stand in desperate need of close personal attention. No doubt Your Highness will occupy himself with matters of that nature.
I look forward to doing so. The question is, where does one begin?
Perhaps with a detailed and critical survey starting with Windsor, sir.
No, Anson, I think not. One should surely begin by endeavoring to establish confidence among the men with whom one is obliged to work and associate.
Confidence can be established in the right quarters without much difficulty, sir. That is a very trite proverb, but it is apt, I think.
And the proverb?
When in Rome, Your Highness.
I begin to think we shall suit one another very well, Mr. Anson.
I most earnestly hope so, Your Highness. The English reserve is not invulnerable. There is an easy way through to the English governing classes.
And what may that be? You're not going to tell me it's the arts.
Well, an art of a kind, sir. Horsemanship.
Horsemanship?
Even the notorious blackguard is tolerated if he happens to be a first-class steeplechaser.
You ride to hounds yourself, Anson?
Oh, whenever I have the opportunity, sir, but I am only third class, I fear. If Your Highness has a fancy to hunt.
There is a bay gelding in the Windsor stable, 17 hands or thereabouts, with a white blaze on the head.
Oh, Xerxes. And he belonged to the Marquis of Queensberry.
The animal has something of a reputation, I believe.
On New Year's Day, he threw and killed one of Her Majesty's grooms, and has since savaged 2 others. I believe Xerxes is to be sent back as unmanageable.
You have my personal command to retain that horse on my behalf, Anson.
You wish to buy Xerxes, Your Highness?
Possibly. And you shall accompany me to the last hunt of the season on Tuesday, is it not? The matter is to remain strictly confidential, you understand?
Yes, Your Highness. And these landscape plans, Your Highness?
Well, we will attend to them in due course, Mr. Anson. In the meantime, we must qualify, must we not? What is the time, Anson?
5 minutes to 10, Your Highness.
Oh, is it my move?
Yes, Your Highness. Pawn to Queen's 4th.
And now, Lady Littleton, can you tell me what this picture represents?
It is Conway Castle in Wales, Your Majesty.
You are correct. And what can you tell us of this most distinguished edifice?
Your move, Your Highness.
It was built by Edward I in order to consolidate his conquest of the Welsh. It was the scene of King Richard II's surrender to Bolingbroke in
1399.
Well done. Who is ahead, Lady?
You are, Your Majesty, a clear lead of 3 marks.
Baroness?
Oh, I must not take unfair advantage. I have been there.
Have I, Lady?
No, Your Majesty, I think not. Or if you have, indeed you were too young to take notice.
Your Majesty? It is Melrose Abbey.
Correct. Oh, Your Majesty, this is not fair. None of us is blessed with your remarkable memory.
Melrose Abbey stands on the River Tweed. It was the largest of Scottish abbeys and is associated with Sir Walter Scott. It has some remarkable windows and stonework and a number of interesting tombs. It is much visited by tourists. His Highness is asleep.
His Highness has had a very arduous day, Your Majesty.
It is not necessary to make excuses for the Prince, Mr. Anson.
No, ma'am, indeed not, ma'am.
What o'clock is it, Latesman?
It is 4 minutes after 10 o'clock, Your Majesty.
Everybody has our permission to retire.
Your Majesty.
Your Majesty. His Royal Highness also excuses you, Mr. Anson.
Your Majesty.
Something is broken, my dear.
It was the fire tongs. But the entire heavens could have fallen without you being in the least aware of the fact.
So. Has everyone gone to bed?
Oh, you were asleep. You snored.
I snored? Oh, that's not remarkable, is it? Many people snore when they are asleep.
Oh.
With respect, I can recall occasions when you have yourself snored. A very gentle snore, it is true. Yet I do not recall resorting to the clash of fire irons in order to waken you.
You are not even ashamed of yourself.
Ashamed?
That you should fall asleep over the chessboard in the presence of the ladies of the bedchamber is bad enough. That you should interrupt me with that uncouth noise is intolerable. I do not recall in the whole of my life having suffered a greater humiliation.
Then you have been singularly fortunate, my dear.
You do not intend to ask my pardon?
No, madam.
Nor to admit that it was a fault?
If it was, it is you who committed it.
I?
It was you who presided over the tedium that caused me to fall asleep.
Albert.
Do not summon the servants, madam.
You are giving orders to the Queen, sir.
I am giving the Queen good advice, ma'am. Would it not help us both if we could take advantage of a rare moment of privacy and talk as man and wife rather than monarch and subject?
We can discuss anything you choose, Albert. Always, you understand. But first, I think it would be a gentlemanly act on your part to ask my pardon.
For sleeping? For the snore? Oh, very well, then I ask it.
Oh, my dear, this is childish of us. I was indeed hurt and angry. But I would be far more desolate if we quarreled. Really quarreled. Come, you may kiss me.
Perhaps you will want to withdraw that invitation when you hear what I have to say, Victoria.
But you have already apologized.
That was the price you asked for an audience, my dear.
But that is not an apology at all.
Madam, I do beseech you, let us come straight to the point at issue.
The point at issue is your own boorish conduct, Albert.
No, madam. It is far more complex and arises from the purgatory you oblige me to endure each night in this room.
Purgatory? You mean you do not approve of Leighton and Lady Littleton sharing such privacy as we enjoy? You would prefer us to be quite alone?
You've not begun to understand what I'm trying to say to you.
Indeed, I have not as yet.
You as queen, and I as your consort. We are surely required to set an example, are we not?
Yes.
I am not referring to our conduct in public and our bearing on occasions of state. Then you are a queen indeed. Then I'm proud of you, your graciousness, your simplicity and goodness. It is our private and personal life to which I refer.
You mean our marriage? When we are alone? When I am wholly your wife?
No, not that. How can I make you understand?
Understand what, Albert?
Well, there is a third estate in marriage, my dearest. A marriage such as ours. First, of course, comes our dignity and authority as queen and consort. Then our duty to one another as man and wife, to cherish and comfort one another. Concerning this, no man could ask for more affection and tenderness.
Yet there is a third obligation, you say.
Oh, believe me, there is. It is that part of our life that concerns neither the obligations of state nor the giving and receiving of human love. It is here that we are drifting, Victoria. And if we lose touch one with the other, we can embitter our entire future.
I am stupid, Albert, and when I am alone with you, I am very much aware of my stupidity. It pains me that I cannot understand where I am at fault.
You have failed to recognize in me, your husband, a man of taste and intelligence, with possibilities in excess of those demanded by a guessing game played around the table.
Very well, Albert. We will abandon that particular game. Tomorrow evening, we will have a little music after dinner. And then I will ask Leighton to organize a spelling bee.
Mein Gott!
Albert, really, you must not shout at me in that manner.
Force me to shout. You will not open your mind to what I'm trying to say. Is there no more to marriage than a show of graciousness and dignity in public and ceaseless demonstrations of physical affection in private? Are we to spend all that part of our lives outside the throne room and bedchamber quizzing one another on the relative merits of one pile of ruins or another?
Albert, I command you.
This album. For me, it has become a lexicon of penance, madam, when I think of the vast profit we might derive from these wasted hours. I see this room full of men of intellect and imagination. Writers, reformers, educationalists, inventors, painters, musicians. The best that Europe can offer. We have the key to this world, but you will not use it. You prefer instead this soporific.
Be so good as to pick up that album and to place it on the table where you found it.
I shall not! The servants may remove it with the other rubbish in the morning. Pray God they use it to light the fire.
Oh, I should never have believed it possible that you could have behaved so boorishly. I shall retire now, and you may remain here and reflect upon your conduct. I shall not sleep until you come to me and tell me how truly sorry you are.
I can bear no more. This situation, it is impossible.
all members of the household are already asleep, Albert.
Indeed, yes. I had forgotten the time.
That does not mean that you cannot play if you wish. It is our home, not theirs.
That would be very inconsiderate on my part. As you're aware, I've already taken my rest.
Those people you spoke to me about, the writers and inventors, are they men of rank? Are they already at court?
I have the list of their names here in my diary.
Show me. Thank you, Albert.
Every name noted down would enrich the princely houses of Europe, but few of them are seen at any court.
I remember just now, my royal grandfather once invited Mr. Gibbon, the author, here to Windsor. Mr. Gibbon was much pleased and inscribed a copy of his book to my grandfather. It was The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. It is still in the library, I understand.
I must read it. It is a very controversial work, I'm told.
Oh, Albert. Albert.
Oh, my dear. Oh, do not distress yourself so.
But I'm wretched. I came back to order you to stop playing, but when I saw you sitting there, looking so like the first time you played to Ernst and to me, all anger went from me. Albert, I cannot endure to quarrel with you. Promise me we shall never quarrel again.
That would be to pledge you that it will never rain, never thunder. Quarreling is part of love, Weibchen. We have Schiller's word for it. Ach, dass sie ewig grünen bliebe, die schöne Zeit der ersten Liebe. How's your German tonight?
Dass sie ewig grünen bliebe, die schöne Zeit der ersten Liebe. Oh, me, that love's delicious time.
Might keep the freshness of its prime.
It will. It must. And to prove it, here is your list of guests. You may invite whom you please, when you please. Anson shall write to every one of them tomorrow.
I did not intend that they should descend upon us in cohorts, my dear.
Then we shall make out a roster. We shall have the painters one evening, the inventors the next evening, and so on until the list is exhausted. Then we shall start again at the beginning.
Oh, you're very good to me. Always you're good to me, Weibchen. Oh, come, it is late.
The entire household is asleep.
Albert. My dearest Albert.
Baroness?
I expected to find Baron Stockmar with you.
He will be joining me here in a few moments.
Before the review is over?
His Highness the Prince Consort has an appointment with Baron Stockmar when his regiment has been dismissed.
I see. You realize that Baron Stockmar has not yet paid his respect to Her Majesty?
The Baron did not arrive until after Her Majesty had retired last night, Baroness.
So? But it is now almost noon.
I understood from His Highness that Her Majesty was eager to witness the review.
She is watching it now. His Highness' own regiment, the 11th Hussars, make a very fine show, do they not? But perhaps you are not interested in military matters.
I already have more than enough to keep me occupied, Baroness.
Then pray do not allow me to disturb you. I can see everything splendidly from this window.
Baroness.
Yes, Mr. Anson?
Baron. We are not alone.
I see. This is an unexpected pleasure, Baroness. You have been watching His Highness take the salute?
Her Majesty also. She had a number of engagements this morning, but when I informed her that His Highness was reviewing his regiment of hussars, she cancelled them all.
Naturally. The Prince has a great deal of panache on these occasions. But this is not the best vantage point, Baroness. From first-story windows further east, you can look down upon the entire forecourt.
I did not come here for the purpose of watching the review, Baron. I am here to convey Her Majesty's command.
I await this with great respect, madame.
Her Majesty is pleased to inform you that the Queen and His Highness will receive you as soon as the review is over.
Her Majesty is very generous. Perhaps you will inform Her Majesty that I shall be pleased to wait upon her and convey greetings from her royal uncle, that Her Majesties in Brussels are in excellent health, and trust that she is equally so. And now, my dear Baroness, I have certain letters of great urgency to dictate, and they must be copied by Mr. Anson before the Dover Courier leaves.
In that case, then...
I'm sure you will understand. I shall have the pleasure of meeting you again this evening.
Of that, Baron, you may be very sure.
I'm grateful for your intervention, Baron. I had express instructions from His Highness that he was to see you in private before you were received by Her Majesty.
Well, that was my wish also, Mr. Anson. From the lady's anxiety to watch a review from a bad vantage point, I can only assume that she entertained hopes of sharing our confidence. But perhaps I misjudge her. The Prince would have dismissed her, no doubt.
I do not think His Highness would have disposed of the Baroness so expeditiously.
You mean that His Highness is still wanting in firmness as regards his dealing with the Baroness? Well?
None of us here, least of all His Highness, is under any misapprehension as to the extent of Baroness Letzten's influence with Her Majesty, sir.
You're an observant man, Mr. Anson. Also, I see you are extremely loyal and dependable.
Thank you, sir. You would like my report before His Highness is present?
In brief, if you please, Mr. Anson.
I have seen Sir Robert Peel in private on 3 occasions.
Good. And His Highness has been in personal touch with the leader of the former opposition?
There have already been 2 private meetings between His Highness and Sir Robert.
Thank you, Mr. Anson. It is now on the stroke of noon. The review ended 5 minutes ago, and His Highness will be coming here straight from the saluting point. I shall meet my Prince in precisely 60 seconds.
I was instructed to pass that information to you the moment I met you, Baron. I see now that it is seldom necessary to give you information on anything at all.
We have our sources, Anson. We have our sources.
You wish me to take notes of the interview?
That was my intention. But in view of the observation I forced from you, I have changed my mind. You understand the implication, I trust?
Yes, sir. My remark, sir, regarding the Baroness Letzen, I would take it as a great favor if...
You are surprised at the extent of my private information, Mr. Anson. I need hardly tell you, the sources at my disposal would soon be dry if I failed to respect every confidence extended to me.
Yes, sir. Naturally. In that case, then, I will get on with my work in the next room.
Oh, Mr. Anson, I really believe he is afraid of me.
His Royal Highness, the Prince...
Excused. Ah, my friend. My old friend.
Hi.
You've been home, hmm? You have news of Ernst, of Grandmama. You've been to Rosenau? Oh, come, you must tell me everything.
I can speak of your home in Her Majesty's presence, Your Highness.
You have other news? Bad news?
Your Highness, at the most we have 10 minutes before it is known that we are alone together. Letzen was here when I arrived to keep my appointment with Anson.
Is that remarkable?
No, Your Highness, but I can assure you it was premeditated.
But I wrote to you of Letzen. Our relationship has improved immeasurably. I wrote telling you that I had asserted myself in the matter of our leisure hours, and that Her Majesty has been pleased to indulge my every wish as regards dinner guests. And there's another matter of which you're unaware. The Queen has agreed to the changes in our household when the new ministry takes office.
Yes, this I knew.
Anson has told you of my part in bringing this about.
Anson confirmed what I already knew as regards Your Highness' exercise in diplomacy. Domestic diplomacy, Your Highness.
You're not pleased.
It is the beginning.
The beginning?
Well, it was a good beginning, as indeed was your victory in the matter of banishing round-table games after dinner. Let us hope that these skirmishes will prepare you for the major encounter.
You say we shall have but a few moments alone.
Unless I am gravely mistaken, Her Majesty will walk through those doors in less than 5 minutes, and Letzen will accompany her.
If I did not know that your motives were commendable, I could find it in me to tell you that you were presumptuous.
For that, Your Highness, I must not shrink from saying what I feel it necessary to say.
In respect of what, sir?
In respect of Her Majesty's determination to pursue a policy that may bring her throne and yourself into public contempt.
But that is an insult. Whatever you may suppose, I am not hedged around by spies. Neither am I the gilded figurehead I was when I last sought your advice in this room more than a year ago. The advice you gave me then, I acted upon. You must give me credit for something, Baron Stockmar. or growing a little, perhaps. Huh?
You have grown a little, my prince, but not fast enough, not tall enough to grapple with the present situation.
You make light of what I've achieved?
Because you have failed to maintain the offensive. To fill Windsor with men of learning, to persuade duchesses to resign, to establish a civil relationship with Peel, these things are victories of a sort. But sovereignty continues to elude you.
Sovereignty? The Queen's sovereignty? That's just as I thought. You do not understand the difficulties of my situation. When last we spoke of these matters, I implied that Her Majesty was trivial, pleasure-seeking, and wholly unconcerned with matters of state.
I pointed out that her great love for you would enable you to mold her mind.
But what I said was not the truth. Outwardly, Her Majesty would have everyone believe she cares for nothing but social, time-wasting pursuits. Yet underneath is a being who is more jealous of her sovereignty than any monarch in history.
Then you are at least aware of the fact.
Of her determination to exercise absolute power, as she herself conceives her role as sovereign?
By heaven, no, Your Highness. As it is conceived by Lord Melbourne, leader of a discredited party, and to a lesser degree by her ex-governess, Leighton. The Queen no longer stands between you and your destiny. You won that battle long ago by your personal charm and ardor as lover and husband. But Leighton is still proof against you, and also Melbourne, to whom the Queen continues to write for advice on every major matter of policy that is laid before her.
That cannot be so.
Then challenge her. And when you have proved it so, act. What does it profit Peel or any other minister to gain office if Her Majesty takes counsel from an ex-governess and her orders from a man who is terrified of the 19th century?
Her Majesty the Queen, Lady Littleton, the Baroness Leighton.
Your Majesty.
We should scold you severely, Baron Stockmar. And you too, Your Highness, for had it not been for Leighton's remark that you were already in Windsor, we should have waited all day for news of Uncle, of brother-in-law Duke Ernst, and for the letters that repose in your portmanteau.
Your Majesty, I was hoping to present them at the audience you have graciously granted this afternoon.
You must not think I am displeased that you should come here straight from your carriage to embrace the Prince. We are aware that your greatest happiness is to talk with him, and that he, for his part, has you never out of his mind. Is that not so, Your Highness?
It is always a very great pleasure to confer with Baron Stockmar.
You were in time to witness the final march past by the light cavalry, Baron Stockmar?
I was indeed, ma'am, and I found it most impressive.
You realize the regiment was His Highness' own, the 11th Hussars. And does he not sit a horse splendidly?
His Highness has always excelled in manly outdoor pursuits, Your Majesty.
Yet he did not practice them to the neglect of his studies. His Highness can converse upon almost any subject.
Baron Stockmar is aware of such accomplishments as I possess, Your Majesty.
And he is modest, too, you perceive. Oh, but it is thoughtless of us to detain you after what must have been a long and tedious journey. Touch the bell, Lady Littleton.
Yes, ma'am.
You have our permission to retire, Baron. And we shall expect you at our drawing room after you have rested and eaten luncheon.
You rang, my lady?
Yes, Bates. You will conduct Baron Stockmar to the Lord Steward and inform him that Her Majesty wishes the Baron to be served with luncheon in his suite.
My lady.
Your Majesty is most gracious.
I shall remain here until luncheon is served. But I believe you, Leighton, have urgent correspondence to attend to and are therefore excused. You too, Lady Littleton. I should be glad if you would make quite certain that the Lord Steward is in personal attendance upon Baron Stockmar. He is getting on in years and must be excessively tired after his long journey.
Your Majesty. Your Majesty.
Oh, did I not manage that very skillfully, dearest? Do you suppose either of them imagined I wanted so much to be alone with you for a few moments? To tell you how proud I was of you this morning?
Our Majesty is most kind.
Oh, you are tired, my angel. You were afoot soon after 6 this morning, and you did not allow yourself more than a bare 15 minutes over breakfast before you dressed for the review. You must not drive yourself so ruthlessly. I shall speak to Anson about it. Now, come. Sit down by me. There. And let me loosen that gorget. Raise your chin. Albert, you look troubled. Bad news?
No.
But you are plainly upset.
I am very wretched, Victoria. But it is not on account of Uncle Leopold's earnest endeavors to rule Britain from Brussels.
There is something you wish to tell me.
You were to receive Stockmar at 4 this afternoon. That was the command passed to Anson by Leighton. Yet Stockmar told me you would come through that door within 5 minutes of my meeting him here. His estimate was accurate. Both you and Leitzen were here within 7 minutes of dismissal on the parade ground.
I came as soon as I learned that Baron Stockmar had arrived.
Leitzen told you he was here?
Yes.
Closeted with me?
Am I to be scolded for interrupting your tete-a-tete? Oh, come, Albert, you are making yourself ridiculous.
No, madam. This time it is not I who caught the ridicule.
I do not care for this mood of yours. I will leave you to recover your good humor.
We had best take this opportunity of confiding in one another. Please do not go, Your Majesty.
I will not tolerate you addressing me in that manner when we are alone. You only do so to provoke me when you're in one of your childishly stupid moods. You will address me by name, Albert. Now, sir, what is behind this exhibition of pique? Why should you resent my wish to share your confidence with Stockmar?
Because it was clearly a conspiratorial act, Victoria.
Conspiratorial?
On Leitzen's part, and by inference, on your part also. But there's something of infinitely greater importance that I wish to discuss with you.
Indeed. What is it?
I think you should know that within the last few days, I've had 2 private meetings with Sir Robert Peel.
With Peel? You received that man into our house?
No, I called upon him at the House of Commons.
Without a word to me? Without consulting me as your wife or sovereign?
You would have gone to any length to prevent it.
Indeed I would. And why not in heaven's name when he has been the author of all our principal difficulties?
All that is behind us, Victoria.
In time it is behind us. But do you imagine I can put it out of mind because it occurred a year ago or 10 years ago? Do you think I can ever tolerate Peel after all he has done to us?
You have no choice but to tolerate him. He is now leader of your government, and as a constitutional sovereign, you are obliged to accept the people's verdict.
Has Stockmar put this treason into your mind?
No, he has not. This treason, as you call it, is the product of a careful study of...
It would be cruel to deny him the task he loves.
You've done this out of compassion for Melbourne?
Not only from compassion. Perhaps because I felt there was no one who truly understood.
So... Then it would seem that I have failed. Let us end this discussion, Weibchen. No good can come of it if what you say comes from your heart.
No, Angel, no. You are not involved in this. You are someone apart.
No, Weibchen. That was not our marriage contract as I understood it.
But it is, so it is. You are my husband, my beloved and respected husband. But you are not English, and there are many things that for all your cleverness and application, you can never learn of England. You've tried very hard. And sometimes it has made my heart ache to watch you. But what you are attempting to do is not possible. Not even for you. Oh, if only I could make you understand these things.
What things?
The English heart, Albert. Oh, no, not mine, for that you have and will always have. But that of a man like Melbourne, steeped in the English past.
The past? Always the past. No, Gott im Himmel, I'm not concerned with your country's past, Victoria.
But to understand England...
It's the present and future that I would take a part in shaping. You are queen. Queen, you say. But what do you or your beloved Leitzen know of this country's present? You cast a broad-bellied idol, wreath it in green, sit it astride a shire horse, and call it England. You put a laurel wreath on its head, and in its fist you thrust a faded standard emblazoned with the battle honors of half-forgotten wars, and call it John Bull, the steadfast, the forthright, the god of merry England and cricket on the green. But that is not your realm, madam. There's a different England under your fee. A dirty, smoke-grimed giant groaning in his sleep, who sprawls across your ugly new towns, loaded with the fetters of ignorance, laziness, greed, and tradition. Shall I tell you of what he dreams? This huge, helpless Prometheus? He dreams of unjust wars in China and Afghanistan, of wheat at 70 shillings a quarter, of the children of the poor working naked in the mines and falling asleep into machines in your manufactories. And he groans aloud because a nation that is equipped to lead the whole world into the light is teetering on the edge of bankruptcy. Because in 1 year, more than 7 millions have been dispersed in poor relief, and because out of every 11 of your Majesty's subjects, 1 lives and dies a pauper. Now, if this is your England, and you are satisfied with it, then let me depart. Let me return to Rosenau, where I was happy, and let my part in our marriage be limited to the fathering of princes who are to inherit this sham paradise.
You would leave here? Turn your back on me?
I would spend as little time as possible here. For what is there here that I cannot do better in Coburg? A little gardening, a little hunting, and that among people who smile at me. Who are you summoning?
Leighton.
Leighton, always Leighton. I'm not in a mood for Leighton, madam.
Albert, you must stay, I beg of you.
Your Majesty?
Baroness Leighton is in the small study. Inform her that her presence is required at once, and she may bring her work with her.
Your Majesty?
I've had my say. I do not intend to inflict upon myself the humiliation of witnessing the spectacle of Leighton engaged in state business.
Nevertheless, you shall stay for 5 minutes more. Then, if you wish, you may pack for your beloved Rosenau. And I will issue an announcement that you are to take a holiday.
Your Majesty's command?
Ah, yes, Leighton. It was to satisfy myself on various matters we have been discussing with His Highness. You recollect that we are credited with possessing an excellent memory, but it was never at any time equal to yours, dear Leighton. Do you happen to know the current price of wheat?
Wheat, Your Majesty?
Wheat per quarter.
I do not know, Your Majesty. I do not recollect that I ever did know, but I have no doubt if Your Majesty gave me an opportunity to inquire.
Oh, come, Leighton. I was confident that you would have such a thing at your fingertips. The question arose when we were discussing the cost of bread in relation to the activities of the Anti-Corn Law League. Could you tell His Highness, for instance, how much public money was expended upon poor law relief last year? Or what proportion of our subjects live and die as paupers?
Forgive me, Your Majesty, but I...
Oh, Leighton, I see that you cannot. But I can. The gross figure is a little over 7 millions, and the ratio of paupers 1 in 11, or a little over 9% of the population. Is it not shameful? Does it not go a long way to explaining the unrest in our centers of industry?
Your Majesty summoned me in order to solicit information regarding these matters?
Oh, no. It was another matter altogether. It was to tell you I had second thoughts regarding the letter we had decided to dispatch to Lord Melbourne by today's courier.
I had not yet finished copying that letter, Your Majesty. You recollect it was only this morning...
But you have our draft, have you not?
Yes, Your Majesty, I have the draft.
Then you had better return it to me, and destroy that portion of it you have already copied.
I brought it with me, Your Majesty. Here it is.
Ah, yes. You know, Albert, one cannot be too careful in these matters. The name of Lord Heytesbury was suggested to me as our minister at the court of Vienna, and I was writing to signify my wholehearted approval of the suggestion. However, since there is no cause for urgency...
Your Majesty has no further instructions regarding a reply to Lord Melbourne's letter?
I shall attend to it later. This evening, perhaps, when Mr. Anson is in attendance. You are excused, Leighton.
Your Majesty.
She will never forgive you.
Oh, she will forgive me. When she is at home and alone with her memories. She will have portraits of me all over the house. And when visitors call upon her, she will point to one of them and say, I had charge of the Queen of England. Until she grew up.
Why? That is what I shall never cease to ask myself. Why? Why?
Why, Albert, dearest, it is why. A round sound with the lips. Oh, it is curious. You speak English perfectly, but for that single defect. And when you are emphatic, out it clips, and you are a German again.
Do you know what Stockmar told me about English women when he was chiding me for my gaucherie?
Mm-hmm.
He said English women were predictable. That if I learned to retreat into etiquette when I was in their company, I would never fall into error.
Stockmar's life has been lived among men, Angel. It was not wise of him to attempt to teach you about women.
Lord Heytesbury is an excellent choice for that post. It would be wise, I think, to confirm it.
Then confirmation shall be the first act in your new role, Albert.
I am to have a role?
Why, certainly. That of confidential secretary to the Queen.
You must learn not to act so readily upon impulse, my dear.
That is not an impulse. I shall never be clever, Albert. But it is not necessary to be clever to recognize merit when one is honestly served by instinct. Not for a woman who sees no shame in admitting that she is in love with her husband. Oh, yes, I know what you are thinking. That this is a peace offering. that I yield to you in the sense that I yielded regarding our social life. But you are mistaken, Albert, and it is vital that you should understand this at once. I am not a clever person, but this I do know, that it is right to allow conscience to shape one's decisions, and that you are still wiser than anyone about me. What is more, you are resolved to use that wisdom selflessly. It is because I am so certain of this that I am ready to surrender Leighton and Melbourne and commit myself and realm to your judgment.
You will be permitted to do this?
Permitted? I am queen, am I not?
Yes, you are queen. And the man to whom you turn for advice is a German princeling whose country is not as big as one of your counties, who is just 22 years of age, and who is, as yet, pitifully unsure of himself.
Is that the total sum of your misgivings?
It is sufficient to bring us both into disrepute.
No, it is not nearly sufficient, Albert. For you have the wisdom and I have the authority. And between us we shall keep the secret more securely than I have kept it with Melbourne these 4 years. For we have no need of telltale letters, of couriers and go-betweens. We have free access to one another, and all our decisions can be arrived at in private.
We may not always make the right decisions.
I think we will make more than have been made in the past, Albert. We shall begin now, as soon as luncheon is eaten. We shall retire to the small study and sit side by side with a dispatch box between us. I shall pass each document to you, and you shall make marginal notes, and I will write them down in my own hand, so that historians 100 years hence will say, this goose of a queen had the wisdom of Solomon.
We shall do all this, liebes Frauchen. But not at once, not today. Today you shall cancel all appointments. Today the seals of the dispatch boxes shall not be broken. You will give orders for the cabriolet, but the coachman shall have a holiday. I will be coachman for once and leave the escort behind the hill. Then, when there is no loyal citizen about us to lift his hat and shout, God bless your majesty, I will take your hand thus and pledge it thus. And you will understand at last all I've been saying to you in the past. Take this man and use him. His loyalty, his service, his love.
Albert, my dearest angel.
In My Dearest Angel by R.F. Delderfield, adapted for radio by Cynthia Pugh, the part of Queen Victoria was played by Barbara Lee Hunt, and that of Prince Albert by Andrew Sachs. The rest of the cast was as follows: Baroness Leighton, Gladys Spencer; Baron Stockmar, Eric Anderson; George Anson, Robin Lloyd; Viscount Melbourne, John Wise; Lady Littleton, Polly Murch; Prince Ernst, Gabriel Wolfe; Bates, Bruce Condell; Schilling, Valerie Kirkbright. Production, which was recorded, was by Norman Wright.